You work so hard. You show up every day. You do what's expected of you. But deep down, you know the truth. One paycheck shouldn't decide how your life turns out. But what if your evenings meant progress? What if your weekends built freedom? What if your laptop became more than just a screen? This isn't about quitting your job. It's about giving yourself options. While others scroll, you start building. Quietly, consistently, and on your own terms. No pressure, no guessing. Just a clear system you can run after work, before work, or whenever life gives you a turn. That's what Goldmine on hustlesafrica.com is for.
Tuesday.
Haikuzo makasi ni watafute uongozi pamoja wasitafute.
Kweli una maana gani? Una maana wewe ni binadamu ya mavi ya kuku.
Mashamba yetu harambe.
Nguruwe kujikanga na mafuta yake na Afrika itakwisha.
Padani agosho ngai no mwega naende shode.
Wakati hiyo ilikuwa ukisema ngwe ndani ngwe.
Tunapofanya mazungumzo na UDA tutahakikisha kwamba tunafuata katiba ya ODM. Hapo ndani kuna wale wanaona wametosha kukuwa deputy president. Tutatoa mmoja wao akuwe deputy president. Wangangane kwa sababu hiyo ni demokrasia. Na chama yetu ya ODM inapenda demokrasia. Alafu baadaye tutarudi in-house kama chama ya ODM tuseme fulani wacha aende ya represent sisi.
Follow you. Yes. We will follow a leader who has an agenda for our people. Kama namna gani watu wangu? So I want to tell you Rigathi Gachagua, ukome kutusi wa mama. Ukome kabisa. And I will not call you names like you're calling me because I have something between my ears. Rowdy D, we will speak as a community of the people of Embu, the people of Darakamini, the people of Meru, the people of Isiolo. Because I have seen in my 20 years, munatutumia vibaya, tukishinda, munapeleka barabara zote kwenu, munatusahau. Wakati tumepata kiongozi anatuletea barabara, munakuja hapa kutuambia nyenyenyenye.
Hello people of the internet, my name is Trisha Wayua if you like, and I'm here to represent Rigathi Gachagua jamani. Rigathi Gachagua. What's the problem? No. It can't happen. Anyway, yeah, my name is Trisha Wayua, and of course I'm here to take you through the conversation that we're about to have today from now all the way to 10 p.m. Of course, I'm representing Jagero, and today, of course, the topic or the title that we have, of course, is something that is, I know everybody wants to talk about it, and it's all about Sifuna and Babu, who are apparently taking over their political fight straight into Raila's former strongholds. We are talking about Homa Bay, Kisumu, we are talking about Kakamega, Busia, and all those areas. So that is one of the key issues that we shall be looking at in this conversation. But before that, of course, we usually have some political temperatures that we need to look at. Today, of course, there was a very big event happening in some parts of, is it Narok? At the president's place. And behind the scenes, we were just having a chat with my friends here, and they are saying that they don't care what happens. Wesley, yes. As you say hi to us, tell us, what do you think about, because I saw so many leaders. I mean, the government today was in Narok at the president's residence. That is because of his daughter's wedding, traditional wedding.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say a good evening to the people of the internet and to my fellow co-hosts. With regards to the event in Narok, as you said, I am happy that she found, you see, life is not always about politics. Social events are also part of life. So the reason why I'm saying I don't care is not necessarily because I have any disdain towards her, but it's because it really does not concern me per se. But we wish her well in her union, her marriage. You see, some of these things are hard to comment on because, again, we didn't know when they were dating. So now at the tail end of the event, now then comes the event, and now we're supposed to comment about it. It's a bit hard, but we wish her well. There is no bad taste towards that. She can have a wonderful marriage, and wish her all the best moving forward. As to the leaders who are showing up there, as you could see, it is leaders from mostly the side that supports the president, and that is telling as it is, because again there is the aspect of the fact that in this country your social events, especially if you're a politician, are determined by the side of politics that you come from. For example, mimi nikionekana kwa arusi ya 2 term, suddenly people will say I have crossed over. So it is unfortunate that we're there as a country, but that's the reality we have to deal with. So it was not surprising to see the leaders from the side that supports the president there. They had their fun. We saw them dressing about. So it was a coordinated event. That's all we can say. But we saw also the presence of a lot of resources there. So a whole field full of helicopters. And you see, granted that it's a social event, Kenyans are left with questions, having questions asked when we are saying the country does not have money, we do not have resources to expend, and then you see that kind of largesse. But then an argument could also be made that those are private resources, so we'd never really get to the bottom of that because it's a social issue. So yes, that's what I think about Charlene, but I wish her well.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Davis Osemo. I'm glad to be here and picking up from where you started. Of course, we saw the ceremony at Kilgoris at the president's farm, and the daughter getting married. And of course, as always, when you see 2 people coming in the union of any marriage, you'd want to wish them well. And of course, what drew people's attention is the level of opulence seen in such events, as we've seen in political weddings. At a time where the country, people are really complaining about the level to which people are struggling economically to earn a living, but you get to see that whenever it is politicians who are having these events, they never seem to lack money. And as of course rightly say that somebody can give an argument that this is private money, but also you see you don't want to rub it into Kenyans' face that the level of opulence. But that being said, we wish them well.
So you have a problem with the opulence that you saw there?
Yes, of course, definitely, because you are public servants, and it is a bit unfair to people where we have high unemployment rates. People are really struggling to make ends meet, to see the level of opulence that you have to witness. Of course, you can have a private, intimate ceremony for the family and for the people attending. I don't think it's that necessary for Kenyans to witness such, in my view.
But okay, it's not happening only in that is Ruto's place. I think we've been seeing, if it is a matter of opulence, we've been seeing it across even some of the leaders that we were not used to seeing them drive big cars and contribute and donate large sums of money in events like the ODM leaders right now. We are seeing them do so.
Well, this is also another challenge when you look at the legacy of the former prime minister in the way he used to conduct his politics. He was never somebody who used to do politics of handouts. But when you look at the trend currently in his region, of course, we are seeing increasingly so most of those leaders from that area doing a lot of Harambes empowerments. But then if you look at the level of living of the constituents in those people and the level of development, there isn't something to show for it. So it goes to show that it's basically their money that they're being given or they're eating. It speaks to stealing from the poor only for you to give them a penance of what you've stolen from them. Yes.
Okay, Wesley?
I mean, for me, usually I like to consider that matter when I juxtapose the fact that who is in power, whose responsibility is it? Regardless of what the circumstances may be, we could be looking at the situation that is exactly the same from different sides. But so long as you hold the state power, so long as you are the person who controls the state resources, there will always be that light directed towards you. Not because that people want to be unfair to you, it's because there is a higher risk and there is a higher scrutiny that is given towards leaders who especially are in government. So whether or not the same kind of events happen on the other side, it is usually going to have a big spotlight when it's the government side, because then there is always that question of state resources. But you see, if it is happening in, for example, as an opposition stronghold, there might be largesse, but you can never tie it back to government. You can never say that there was government resources there. So it will always be a few friends come together, there is people who contributed. That will be a valid excuse for any other side that is not government. Including the opposition. Well, for people of the internet, I can see some of them are asking, where is Odhiambo? Odhiambo will be joining us shortly, because he was running late in around 20 minutes, so he'll be joining us shortly. So, producer, take us to Embu. I want to listen to what Barire said about Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes. We will follow a leader who has an agenda for our people. So I want to tell you, Rigathi Gachagua, ukome kutusi wa mama, utukome kabisa. And I will not call you names like you're calling me, because I have something between my ears. Rowdy, we will speak as a community of the people of Embu, the people of Garakalini, the people of Meru, the people of Isiolo. Because I have seen in my 20 years, munatutumia vibaya, tukishinda, munapeleka barabara zote kwenu, munatusahau. Wakati tumepata kiongozi anatuletea barabara, munakuja hapa kutuambia nyenyenyenye. Yes. We will follow.
Well, you've heard what she has said, and there's some bit in that statement where she talked about after leaders have won, most of the time these developments have been taken to that other side of the mountain. I don't know. Let me start with Jeff, because it is about his party leader.
See, when I hear Sess speak like that, the governor of Embu, first of all, you have to understand that always when things like that happen, you have to ask what is the context behind it. Cecily Mbarire is fighting for political survival as we speak. And she has made an enemy of Rigathi Gachagua. And let me tell you, if Cess is a student of politics, she should understand that the people who have formed an enemy against Rigathi Gachagua are not doing very well right now, starting with her boss, the president. You see, Cecily Mbarire is claiming that there has been some victimization towards her and towards the eastern side, yet she has just said it as a political statement, no quantifiable evidence, nothing to support that claim. And then she's blaming it squarely on Gachagua, as if Gachagua has been president at any one given time. And then she's narrowing it down to an issue of that they have found a leader now who is supposed to give them roads, and Gachagua is opposing that leader, as if that those two things are mutually exclusive. That if we oppose William Ruto, we are telling William Ruto, we'll stop opposing you if you bring roads to our side. You see, statements like those make you wonder where they come up from that. But I also understand it comes from a larger narrative of trying to split Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya West. And as I've told you, Cecily Mbarire is looking for re-election. And previously, Cecily Mbarire has been very quiet. But this newfound political energy you are seeing is because she has, from what I hear, of course, my sources are telling me she has found, or she has seen a glimmer of hope in retaining her seat for governor. Previously, before, it was looking very bleak because people were saying Cecily one term. Cecily na boss wake waende nyumbani. However, now on this other side, now there has emerged a different problem, which is, of course, the fact that opposition parties are only agreeing on the presidential candidate and no zoning arrangements within some counties, which would have been something that Cecily Mbarire was afraid of. Now the fact that two of her main competitors in Lenny Kivuti, who is in the DEP party, which is Mbas, and Gitonga Mukunji, who is the front runner from DCP, are now looking like they are going to go at it, all of them towards up to the ballot. Now she has seen, she is doing that political mathematics of that if I stay where I am at, if I stay put, I can maybe try and appeal to the people, minus William Ruto, look for survival for my own seat, na niingilie katikati ya hawa wanaume wawili ambao watakuwa wanatafuta kiti ya governor. Because the polls, the popularity of Cecily Mbarire is completely bad in Embu right now. However, the fact that she has seen that sliver of hope is what you're seeing in political energy right now. And so she has to galvanize the people who she has maybe connected with in the last 4 years as governor towards a common enemy. As you know, Trisha, politics of Kenya is less about who loves me as a candidate. It is about who they hate more. If they hate my opponent more, if they fear them more, they are more likely to come out and vote faster than if they love me. You know, somebody who loves you might get lazy on the day of voting. But someone who is afraid and hates the other person than they hate you will, of course, find the motivation to do so. So when I hear Governor Cecily Mbarire make claims like those, that William Ruto is being opposed because he's taking roads to Embu, I just find it as a political statement for a wounded political animal that is looking for survival.
Okay. Let's also hear from Davis.
I find that to be very interesting, honestly. You know, the level of lies that some of these leaders unfortunately perpetuate is just concerning. Many of the times we are promised heaven, but they deliver hell. When you are a governor of a county complaining about development, and one, national government allocates money to your county, two, you have on-source revenue, the question now becomes, what have you done first with the money that you have been allocated? If few people have been following the issue on the Public Accounts Committee, when she was summoned there to account for some of the use of the resources, she was one of those governors that was struggling to account for the money. And then they go out and start saying that they were being bullied under the Public Accounts Committee. So, as it's been said, it's an issue of survival rather. And I pray and hope that Kenyans this time see through the lies of these leaders. You know, sometimes it's very unfortunate. Somebody promises you a bridge where there's no river. So it's just political survival from where I sit.
You see, Trisha,
yes,
if you think about the issue of devolution, there are roads that are for the national government,
yes,
there are roads that are
for the
governor.
county, yes.
You see, as a matter of argument, in fact, the Mount Kenya region was doing better when Rigathi Gachagua was deputy president, because all the work he had done towards coffee and milk and tea reforms are now manifesting. But now what do we have in the current deputy president that, of course, Cecily Mbarire is going to try and hang on the coat of to try and survive. And I'm telling you, this is a coordinated Mount Kenya East narrative that is being created, that all the senior leaders, and this is especially manifesting in Embu, because if you look at the senator of Embu as well, the senator of Embu has been on record as attacking the DCP party leader, Senator Mundege. Senator Mundege, who cannot speak proper English or speak proper Swahili in the Senate, he's busy talking about Rigathi Gachagua. His oversight responsibility, he's not doing properly. And so when you look at these two county leaders, that now they have aligned politically, they are not now focusing. As you've heard him say, when the governors are being summoned to Senate, Governor Sess could not account for monies allocated to her and her performance with respect to that money, right? The oversight function of the county government is first of all done by the senator, by the MCAs and the senator. He has failed on that mandate, but now because they're looking for political survival, they have to align in a certain political direction. So Sess is carefully crafting a way in order to be part of that Mount Kenya East team that does not support Gachagua in order to survive, in the hopes that if Kindiki galvanizes his support in the Mount Kenya East, then they will survive. As you saw, the deputy president yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure, had some sort of coronation ceremony with the Njurincheke elders being crowned an elder of the Meru community.
Yeah,
and
I saw yesterday, yes.
To exactly what I'm telling you. It is a narrative that is being formed that in Meru, Embu and Tharaka Nithi, there's going to be a certain different political direction. And that direction is what the leaders of those counties are going to try and hang on. And they're going to try and accuse Rigathi Gachagua of every manner of things. And let me tell you, and Mimi, I have a very soft spot for people who are deputy presidents, because deputy presidents, Trisha, for the largest part, work and serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority. You do not have cut out responsibilities for you. So it is very hard to quantify your performance unless you really go out of your way or you have goodwill from your political boss. The reason I keep on saying that is because they will start saying that Gachagua did not do development when he was deputy president, and you start to wonder where did he have the mandate to do that. Even if somebody today came and told me what is Deputy President Kindiki doing, I will also have the same perspective, because I had the same perspective when William Ruto was Deputy President. I had the same perspective when Rigathi Gachagua was Deputy President, and I still have the same perspective with Kindiki. It is hard to quantify the effect of a Deputy President if they don't have goodwill from their boss. As you saw, Rigathi Gachagua pushed on the issue of reforming illicit brews and the fight against illicit brews, because that was a matter passionate to him and possibly Pastor Dorcas Rigathi. So he pushed that agenda personally.
But he said that agenda was supposed to set him up. You remember?
It only set him up because now the president was continuously would send Rigathi Gachagua to do A, while and in the undertones, he's trying to cut his legs and do B. So constantly, it's like Rigathi Gachagua is running in circles. But I don't want to stray from the point before my brother comes in. You see, if you look at Governor Sess talking about development, it is what you call, I like to call it an escapist way of thinking. Because Governor Sess, for example, she has had projects that she's supposed to pursue. For example, the County Aggregated Industrial Park in Mbeere is still incomplete. It's not performing to par. The failure about it is that 10 million was marked that the industrial park was illegally redirected. Where did that 10 million go? But she's busy talking about the fact that that now there is a president who is bringing them roads. Where is your development track record? I will read some of this, but I'll allow my brother to come in because I saw he had this, one in the chamber that he needed to let go.
Thank you. So, you know, we have to be very clear, and it's high time that we don't let anybody lie to us while we see them lying. And so I'll start from one, the issue of deputy president. So as a deputy president, of course, yes, you do serve at the pleasure of your boss, but also as illustrated by Rigathi Gachagua, we saw him being at the forefront of certain agendas. And insofar as also as a president, deputy president, as you're concerned, you are among the chief advisors for the president. So you are not just there to just say yes to everything your boss says, especially for Kithure Kindiki being a professor of law. He knows better. You know, some of these things, you wake up every day, it's like government just sleeps, conjures some way to hurt Kenyans. And you're like, you listen to Kindiki talk in public, you're like, but you're a professor of law. For heaven's sake, you're a professor of law. And so it's really, we really need to change the manner in which we do that, because you are also elected by Kenyans and you are given sovereign power to act in the interest of Kenyans. I hear Governor Cicely complain on the matter of, she brought out the gender issue.
Yes, actually that's what
You know, it is very unfortunate. In a country whereby we are constantly asking for representation of women in leadership, when you hear a woman in power complaining that she's being attacked because of her gender, when she was asking for votes from the citizens of Embu, did she remind them that she's a woman? That's why they are voted.
No, but the issue of women, she was responding to what Gachagua allegedly said when he said that he has no problem with women leaders, and he said that he will not stop criticizing them based purely on gender, declaring that a traitor is a traitor.
And I agree.
And remember, there's that time he said that when they went to where is this Olkalau that time, he said that they were staying walikuwa wamekaa kule mbali na lipstick, saying that they were trying to get to the young men, to attract the young male voters to the United Democratic Alliance.
But would you say
that is disrespect to the women folk?
You know, I was in Olkalau.
Yes.
Allow me to comment on that one. I was in Olkalau. So that one might seem like a very far off thing to do, but did you see Betty Maina or the women rep of Muranga dance with somebody there in an attempt to get votes? Was that somebody that was sent by Rigathi Gachagua? You see, such things, Tricia, are within the context of a campaign. And if they are pointed out, you cannot play the gender card every time when you are pointed out on clear fault. You see, this is the thing about where Mount Kenya is right now. You know, kuna operation inaendelea inaitwa Fagia Wote. And hiyo Fagia Wote is going to carry everybody who is perceived to be in the wrong side of representation of the people of Mount Kenya. And I have told you consistently on this show that in Mount Kenya first, if you are elected a leader, your primary core mandate is to represent the interests of the people. And the moment the people feel that you are failing in the core mandate of representing them, they reject you regardless of how you are performing in terms of your other roles. And it has happened before. It has happened to the Honorable Kanini Kega, who was a major development, he had a major development track record in Kenya before he was voted out. Only because he was on the wrong side of the political wave at that point in time. Right now, as we speak, Karinda is one of the people. Karinda is the name that she's been given there.
Yes.
She's on the side that supports women. And in fact, when she's giving her name Karinda, it is as a result of saying that I can take on this man even with my dress. That is the undertone around it.
Oh, that's the reason.
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, sometimes when she gets angry during political rallies, I remember there was a time she was saying, hata wakitaka hii rinda naeza toa nivae trouser tupatane kwa uwanja. Okay. So she says she's not afraid of that male confrontation when it comes to politics because she understands it's political competition. But now when she has been cornered and she's now being labeled a traitor, rightfully so because she's on the other side, because that is the name of what people on the other side are being called, she's going to run to the gender card and attempt to tell us that now we should look at her different because she is a woman. I find that again to be very escapist.
Okay, yeah,
it's not
yes,
only
you can finish up. Yes,
escapist behavior, but it's also changing goalposts. You see, when you are in politics and you are politicking and you are attacking your opponent, you see, if you punch me in the face, the way I respond, you can't tell me how to respond. I will hit you where I want to hit you, in whichever manner I want to hit you. Because once you start fighting, it's about survival. So, again, you being a lady and the issue being criticism and you being a traitor, nobody's above criticism, not even Rigathi Gachagua. Anybody and everybody can criticize whomever they want. The beauty of the law, the constitution that we give ourselves is that nobody is above reproach. The only thing that we can limit is where we have hate speech. Maybe you are targeting a particular gender or group of people to be treated a particular certain type of way. But insofar as criticism is concerned and it is politics, you enter into politics knowing how dirty it
you
can
say
be.
it's dirty.
Yes.
Well, Karibu Odhiambo.
Asante sana.
People of the internet are missing you so much.
Yeah, Nairobi is crazy with its.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So we had already started. We've talked about the issue of CES, that is Embu governor, her response to Rigathi Gachagua, and then now we just want to look at what Matiang'i has said. Producer, you can play for us that clip around Matiang'i saying that he'll not join Ruto. I don't know why people feel that Matiang'i somehow will be joining Ruto in government. I don't understand why. So please play for us.
Sisi tuko tayari kufanya kazi na viongozi wote, lakini sio kwa serikali. Mimi sasa nasema ukweli. Mimi nawaunga mkono hawa viongozi wa kanisa. Vile wamesema tuishi kwa amani, tuishi kwa upendo, tuweke amani hata wakati wa uchaguzi. Na tuwaheshimu viongozi wetu. Wale wako kwa ofisi tuwaheshimu, wale ambao wanataka kutafuta tuwaheshimu. Mwenyezi Mungu atatuamulia tukienda mbele, lakini tusilete uhasama kwa watu wetu. Watu wapigane, wauane kwa sababu ya uchaguzi. Uchaguzi unakuja na unaenda. Hatuwezi kuwa watu wetu kwa sababu ya uchaguzi, tunapeleka watu kwa matanga sijui wapi kupigana. Tusifanye hiyo maneno. Sisi tuko tayari.
So we'll start with you, Odhiambo. What do you think of Matiang'i? Because of course, because he's in Jubilee, and most of the time people are saying that the former president Uhuru Kenyatta has been pushing him for this seat of presidency, and I also heard people say that Uhuru Kenyatta is still working with President William Ruto. And I think that is why people are saying that Matiang'i somehow will go back to work with Ruto.
It's not a simplistic thinking. These are possible realities, and people are trying to simulate what are the possible scenarios that could be at play beyond 2027 or towards 2027. If you look at the chances of Matiang'i in terms of winning the election, of course we know it is zero. He cannot win the election in 2027. Now that fact said, guaranteed, and set aside, what option does Matiang'i have? He has to choose. He has to choose between Ruto and Matiang'i. 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 Now that fact said, guaranteed, and set aside, what option does Matiang'i have? Matiang'i needs to be in government, right? He looks at the united opposition and he evaluates. And remember, of all these opposition candidates, it's only Matiang'i that has hired a serious firm that does for him psychometric analysis and that does for him consistent and constant research. The firm comes from Canada. I know it because they're my competitor in the market.
Yes.
And these people are informing him factually. He's not depending on court jesters who are praising or who are singing praise to him. He's depending on factual analysis on his chances. And of course, when they're looking at factual analysis, they're presenting him with possible scenario. If you just listen to the statement right there, he's talked about something that is very anti-Matiang'i in terms of the public perception. That is, tuheshimu wale ambao kwenye serikali, tuheshimu viongozi wetu ambao watakuwa. That points to an antithesis of Matiang'i, because when he was in power, Matiang'i did a power grab, quote unquote. And that power grab was donated to him by Kenyatta. It stripped the deputy president then of the power and gave it to Matiang'i to even supervise some sub-cabinet committees. Right?
Remember, yes.
Yes. And so it is expected of Matiang'i to have some level of vitriol and hate towards the current president. But then he's giving us a complete anti-hypothesis of what he's expected to be. Okay, by saying, let's respect those who are in power. Now that is considered, in political parlance, it's considered as warming up.
Olive branches.
Olive branches being extended. People are saying, we can talk. Okay? And so if Matiang'i looks at his chances, and all of us on this table know that if Matiang'i looks at his chances, most probably, him coming to Ruto is more valuable to Ruto, and is also valuable to him. He may get something. Ruto already has what he's looking for.
The other side?
Well, he has a chance as well, but what number will he play? What level of importance does he hold in the united opposition as compared to what level of importance does he bring to Ruto? Remember, right now, Ruto is looking at somebody with a significant percentage of the population means something to him.
Yes.
Especially the small numbers. And Kisii, the community, is a small number but very significant. If he can have Kisii, then he has Nyanza block, perception-wise. Okay? So, well, Matiang'i is doing his mathematics, and I can tell you, he's a data person. He's going to rely on the psychometric analysis that's going to be given. He's going to rely on the advisory, because you cannot invest over $250,000 in a farm, then you disregard the advisory. So I expect him to make some decisions which could be very unpopular to his support base. But that, unfortunately, is the dark side of our politics.
Okay. Davis?
I think I'll disagree a little bit with Odhiambo. I feel like ever since he came back from his work at the World Bank, he's maintained more or less the same tone in the manner in which he's approached talking about government. Many of the times he has been asked to be more critical about government. The way Gachagua is combative, Sifuna is combative, but he's been a bit reserved and a bit more diplomatic, you'd even argue. But then again, as Odhiambo observed, when they were in power together, they didn't seem to be able to work together, because these are two strong individuals who believe their way or the highway. So you have to wonder then how can they work together? Also considering that Ruto is considered a micromanager himself. So even if he gives you a ministry, he still want to tell you how to run that ministry. And Matiang'i is also the type of guy that he wants to do his thing the way he wants to do it.
You think so? Like in the
definitely.
previous government, was he?
Yeah, I mean,
because most of the time people felt like he was a puppet of the administration that time.
How many times have people labeled him a dictator because of he used to be?
But a dictator who has been given instructions to go and do this.
Okay, let's evaluate some of the things that he's done. As Minister for ICT, back then when he was forcing people to move from analog to digital, and we saw even numerous members of parliament being against the move, and even people going to court. But you and I today possibly enjoy that so much needed push from analog to digital, and here we are on this platform. And then he comes to the Ministry of Education, where you see the cartel by back then, the level of exam malpractice in the industry. Of course, for you to be able to go in such a place and bring the change that you want to see, you have to have some level of dictatorship he knew in that this is the right thing to do, this is how we are going to do it. It's either this way or the highway. And so he received a lot of pushback then. And then now, when he was appointed to almost superintend some certain ministries, when he was Minister for Interior, actually there's a reported incident when he almost got into a fist fight with the former deputy president in State House Nakuru. Because you see, it's like having two fathers in the same house. Unajua ukiwa kijana mdogo, ukiongea kwa nyumba baba yako unaambiwa hatuwezi kuwa wanaume wawili kwa nyumba.
Toka.
Yako. So I feel like that is also something to consider. But also you see, joining William Ruto can be politically convenient at the present, but at what expense? And are you likely to come with those votes also is another issue altogether.
Actually, somebody is saying that don't think joining Ruto will bring in the Kisii vote.
Yes, I come from that region. I can assure you. So even before he came and declared he's going to run, those people are against Ruto altogether. So it doesn't mean that because he goes there, he'll come with votes. He might come with some, but will he bring the number of votes William Ruto needs for re-election? Debatable.
Okay. Odhiambo was saying the little.
Matiang'i has a command of Kisii today, and my indicator for this premise is Morara and Arati. I saw Matiang'i hold a number of public engagements in Kisii, and Arati is a very strong character who naturally I don't expect. Yeah, he's very combative, and I don't expect him to be allowing another bull to walk into his kraal, you know. But then, all of a sudden, you see Arati joining Matiang'i's public engagements, not once, and he's not taking a combative stance against Matiang'i, which means there's something he's looking at. He could be looking at the ground and saying, "Okay, we are all Kisiis at the end of the day," or, "Well, he's an elder brother," or, "What if? Let's just find out." These are all scenarios that are playing in his mind. Okay? But if the Arati that I know, who was a councillor and who was an MP and who kimbized Barasa, the guy with the red hat.
I remember.
You know you can run. You remember that statement?
Yes.
If there's a man who, when he sees another man entering his territory, his first instinct is to push you away because he's Simba. And Simbas are very territorial. And he says, you know what? Matiang'i is here. Let's not push him away. There's something that is cooking. Maybe they're talking as a community first before they come to the front. There's something that is going on.
Trisha, allow me to come in on that.
Yes.
Allow me to weigh in on that. I can tell you for sure, government people are talking to Matiang'i similarly to how they are talking to every other opposition leaders, sending emissaries and all that kind of thing. I'll take you back and show you where the indicators are.
Yeah.
Recently, the chief whip of the National Assembly was very quiet politically, and then suddenly he re-emerged. And when he re-emerged, he went on a series of podcasts. And when you heard his tone about Matiang'i, he stopped calling Matiang'i the names he was calling him before. Because before they were calling him slow, they were calling him lazy. He was no longer using that kind of language. In fact, he said that the quickest route for power for the Kisiis is for Matiang'i to join William Ruto. So this is not strange. And then in those meetings, as Odhiambo has pointed out, not only was Arati there was also Zahir Janda. Zahir Janda was seen in a very, very, and Odhiambo likes the optical side of things. When you are a leader and you are seen kneeling before another leader, it already asserts who is the dominant figure in that one.
Right.
So you can already see there are conversations that are being had. But let me tell you where the bottleneck is for anybody who wants to engage William Ruto. If it was easy for you to carry the support that you claim to have and walk to the other side, they already would have done it.
True.
The reason why they were finding this problem is because it's the same thing that Rigathi Gachagua has told us in DCP. That I am aware, if I go to Ruto now, I will go alone. He said from his own mouth.
That is
so even the leaders of other places where the one-term clarion call is happening, they are aware that this one term is not about you. You are what you would call a tool of necessity for us. You are a channel that we vent through. that this one term is going to be executed through you. So when you come to places like Kisii, that is Matiang'i. When you come to the central region, that is Gachagua. But if you dare go to that other side and work with that same person, that is what, because as Odhiambo is not misdirecting us when he says that Matiang'i has a farm, and they inform him on cold hard facts. And this farm has been procured at the highest level with some little help from Uhuru, of course. But at the same time, he knows that if it was easy to go to William Ruto with the numbers he claims to have now, he already would have done it. But when I see that kind of thing happening, I can tell you, it's not surprising to me. I've had this direction being taken by different leaders from the opposition. For example, and this one, I'll just mention it as a by the way, when the three leaders from the Mount Kenya East bloc made that press conference, that is also a different kind of olive branch to me, opening a way that was previously not there to the other side. That it is not coincidental that when there is this talk about splitting the mountain, Mount Kenya East, Mount Kenya West, that premiers in the opposition, figures in the opposition now are talking as if the opposition is split. So that usually indicates that somebody is warming up to the idea that we might need a way to bolt out, and that is the way we will take. But again, remember, the one-term course is not about the leaders, it is about the people. The people are more offended by William Ruto than the leaders are.
I feel like, from where I see it, it's government fighting for survival, in the sense that first, if you can remember, it was Kalonzo. Oh, Kalonzo is being courted. Oh, Kalonzo. Those rumors were there for some time. And now it is Matiang'i. And I'm pretty sure very soon it will be going to be regarding Gachagua. I'm pretty sure of that. But to the issue as who has influence in Kisii, it's Fred Matiang'i for sure. And even Simba Arati, why most leaders in Kisii are very reluctant to castigate Matiang'i is because it's the level of backlash you'll get. So that's why even if Simba Arati is in broad-based government, he's been very reluctant. Because I can tell you when he came, yes, he came with a lot of fuss in Kisii County. But in terms of power, who holds the real power in numbers in Kisii, it is not Simba Arati. If anything, this coming election, he's going to fight for his life in terms of surviving for that seat. I can
Simba.
assure you. Yes. Yes. People are very unhappy with the way he's managed the county, myself included. As to Osoro, I come from his constituency actually. Osoro presents an interesting character, I'd say. From where I sit, he might be one of the few members of UDA to survive, even if he doesn't use Jubilee, because he knows how to play his politics and also he delivers. So, even if you can remember the funeral for
the mother, yes.
The way he spoke, I can even translate, was he was saying that Fred is his brother. In fact, they come from the same constituency, which is actually true. They come from the same sub-clan, and they know how to handle their matters. And that William Ruto is not his wife. So the one-time chance that were there, he asked, are they for me or for William Ruto? They said William Ruto. Then they said, you see, William Ruto is not here. When he comes, he'll come and defend and look for his votes. But for me, I'm an orphan and I'm looking for my third term in office. So that shows you the level of the politician, the caliber of politician he is. He knows when to say something and to whom. Because he understands that in as much as, yes, he delivers, fighting Matiang'i, you can be a victim of the consequence of his political influence in Kisii County, that's for sure. So, again, government is fighting for survival. They don't have the numbers, they know that. That's why they are passing these rumors of who somebody so-and-so is talking with government. But I won't even be really concerned as to anybody talking to government, because you'll go alone. That is just the reality of it. So, as to whether he joins government or not is another story entirely.
Okay. Odhiambo, you have anything to say?
No. I think Kisii will solve their issues. We'll wait for Kisii to come to the national table, and whatever they present, we are ready to listen. But I'm more positive that Matiang'i has a chance with the regime than he has with the opposition. There's a lot of contempt, and even my brother here knows this one.
So
my only question to Odhiambo with that is usually who will trust William Ruto, especially with the dynamic.
Do you know, okay, let me explain that dichotomy. That's a very interesting question. Who will trust William Ruto?
Yes.
Let me tell you. I want to explain to you the dissonance. One, the cognitive dissonance between William Ruto and his detractors, and two, the proximal dissonance or the distance between him and the people. Okay? Now, the first bit, let's look at Ruto and the political class. If you work with Ruto, does he leave you behind or does he take you somewhere? Jeff knows that question.
I hear people say that Ruto will never forget you.
They say he will never forget you.
Yes.
Jeff, what do you hear?
He rewards his boys.
He rewards his boys. What do you hear?
Okay, I've heard two things.
Yeah.
Of course, there is loyalty, but he's also somebody
to be a
of
very
the very
long-standing
politicians
friends.
we have in Kenya. He's the
Yeah.
one most likely to give you a politically bouncing check.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Yeah. So, now if you look at Ruto's boys or Ruto's girls, the ones he's walked with a distant, you find that they benefit something. Now, to politicians, one thing that is most interesting about them, especially the Kenyan politicians, is their selfish interest. It comes first before any other interest. Okay? The reason why they are campaigning all across the country in UDA regalia is because they know that even if you fail, Ruto will appoint you somewhere. There's something that he will give you. So he has demonstrated that if you kikuwa nyuma yangu, sitakusahau nitakujenga. Even the people who are leaving him, they're leaving him after he jengered them. They're not leaving him because he didn't jenga them. No, they're leaving him because now they're looking at perhaps one, survival in their own constituencies. And two, some of them are also genuinely disappointed, which is fine. It happens in life. Genuinely disappointed in his leadership or whatever reason. But the bulk of the politicians who are even now looking at E-Pesa, EC-Pesa, they'll most probably settle with William Ruto because politically he rewards. It has been confirmed. Two, I'm the only one who has not given something. But that is because I don't exist in UDA colors and everything of that nature. Two, let's look at the dissonance in terms of the people versus Ruto. It's a communication question. And that communication question comes in that Ruto has insisted, and this is perhaps the biggest communication failure, he's insisted to speak on behalf of the regime and not speak on behalf of the people. Every little problem facing Ruto today, in my view, is a communication question by a big percentage and implementation by a small percentage. Why? If you look at the Gen Z question, I said, and I did tell somebody who works with him, I told them, please, before this thing goes to the 25th day, hiyo siku ilikuwa imeharibika, let the president go to the street with the people. It is unorthodox, but sometimes you need to think outside the box. Why was I telling this fellow to try and push that the president goes to the street with the people? Because by that time...
Wait a minute, 2024.
Yes. That's a good idea because what William Ruto would have done, if I were William Ruto then, I would have been... I go to the streets and then ask them, why are you shooting Kenyans? Basically, you throw them under the bus.
Yes, exactly.
But you're like, why? These are Kenyans.
My point,
you know why I'm shocked?
Can I tell you why?
No, but that would have worked.
If you look at the metamorphosis of that demonstration, before 25th, it was not about the president. Before 25th, it was about the bill, the finance bill.
Yes.
And the people were genuinely about the finance bill. They were not having any issue with the president. They were having issues with the bill. So I told the fellow, let him go to the street and throw parliament under the bus.
True. That would have worked.
And how do you do it? Just go to the street and say, what? You know what, guys? Police, watch out! Watch out! Watch your kitu. Stop it! Then you see that drama. It is, and let me tell you, the mind loves drama, my sister. The mind loves drama. And the president, akambia police, watch out. It's news. Two,
international.
Yes.
Yeah, by the way.
Two,
yes.
He goes and speaks with the youth and says, well, you know what? What you're saying is very true. Your voices must be heard. This is a democracy. if the people are saying that this finance bill is wrong, I am urging the parliament, listen to the people. Because I am a representative of the people. Because in Kenya we have dual legitimacy. The first legitimacy is election of the president, which is by direct vote. It's not representative.
Yeah.
Then 2 is a direct election of parliamentarians. So we are acting on dual legitimacy here. And one legitimacy can countercheck the other one. And that's why we say parliament oversee the president. President, you can also oversee parliament.
Okay.
So if he could go to the street by that time, I can tell you today, he would be closer to the people. And that's why I say, William Ruto, just hope him Magufuli. It's not so far. Just say, you know what, me, I am for the people. William Ruto, for the people. But the president has done a mistake, and I believe it is the overzealous characters around him who want to tell him, the government rules over the people, does not work for the people. And for me, my philosophy is very simple. The government is for the people. What we must find is an object of aggression, because the first instinct of any regime is survival. So survive against parliament. And then you have majority in parliament. After you survive against them, you tell them, you know what? There's something in politics called the concept of saints and sinners. There's an Omunyambi who must accept the fat of the king. And my majority in parliament,
yes,
you must accept the fat of the what? Of the king. And say, you know what? In fact, it is us parliamentarians who did a mistake. Hii bill correct hapana. President tumekusikia na wananchi. We are going to correct it. Deal done.
But by the way, what you're saying makes sense, because I'm beginning to think that that is where now Sifuna also started. You remember?
Exactly.
That's where the Sifuna now started being Sifuna, because he joined the young people, and that's where now,
Even
Gachagua, the same. He also tried to take advantage of that, realigned with the young people. Yes.
You know, at the end of the day, a politician is somebody who can drown a litter of kittens just for 5 minutes of airtime, just to be seen as a hero, to be praised. So basically, what Odhiambo said is proof that William Ruto is a micromanager. The failure in communication is not that he doesn't have smart people. If Odhiambo talked to somebody close to the president, I'm sure that information go to the president. But what did he do? It is my way or the highway. And the case of Sifuna starts there. I remember there's this video. You know, they keep asking, where is Sifuna's manifesto? Sisi ndo Sifuna, so what is your agenda? Insofar as I'm concerned, Sifuna has been consistent. In fact, the day he stopped that police officer from killing a protester in parliament, that is the manifesto. That is the manifesto. And that's why he's been saying, before we even go to issues of development, can we have a country on the law? And that is what he's been singing. And these people would want to tell you matters about development. With what money? The government is broke. We collect 2.8 trillion. 2 trillion goes to pay debt. So you have 800 billion.
But we are borrowing.
That time you've not paid salaries, which cost about 1.6 trillion, money to counties, defense, national police, intelligence, school, health. So William Ruto, in fact, the lack of development is not a William Ruto issue. It is an issue that economically, it is not viable. But what are these guys do? Instead of coming tell the Kenyans, okay, I know I said this, I know I promised this, but sincerely, this is the problem that we have. The problem we have is we don't have money. So we have to.
And our money has been stolen by Uhuru Kenyatta.
By who?
I was expecting Odhiambo to mention Uhuru Kenyatta somewhere.
There's this issue that people keep saying. Some people maybe in government might think that people say Ruto must go because people have a personal issue with William Ruto. I want to assure them that it is not a personal issue. For instance, when people say President Ruto killed people during the protest, I'm like, did you see the president shoot anybody? Did you? But what we are saying is you are the head of state. So who killed these people?
He has the political responsibility.
The issue of money is being stolen. Okay, personally, my money, I've never found my money in William Ruto's bank account. But I'm saying public money is being stolen. So where is our public money? Who is stealing our public money? So people ask that question, those questions, and what we meet is just bravado. You just have to wonder. What is it?
Actually, you see from the onset, I did agree with Wanjigi based on one thing. He did advise President Ruto that from the onset, do not sign this finance bill into law. That is the finance bill of 2023-2024. Because it will then make him politically liable and responsible for the debts that will be taken after that time, because so much money is being used to pay debt, which should not be the case, because this debt cannot be traced. We don't know what's doing. We don't know who took the money. Though we know the person who was in charge. Of course, even the president now was part of that regime. But of course, if you're a husband in a house, you don't say if things go wrong, you say, hey, it's my wife, it's my wife, it's my wife.
No, but it is both of you.
You must have some balls in
both
saying,
of you, husband and wife.
But you see,
but the ultimate responsibility of our home in the patriarchal system rests with the man.
Husband,
The buck stops.
Yeah, the buck stops with the man.
I think that's the point I made, that I have a soft spot for anybody who's been deputy, because they serve at the pleasure of their appointing authority.
It's the boss who decides what you do. You know, you can even they can even make you a flower girl. You just remain there with your office and your drivers, but you do nothing at all. But you serve for your full term. You know, so the first thing that Ruto would have done, ought to have done, was say to call Kenyans to a conversation. Kenyans, you have a problem. Rigathi started it nicely, but I think the formula was off. We come in and we found the coffers empty. That was a good strategy. The next thing I expected was the president to stand and say, you know, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya, we have a problem that's going to dig into generations to come. And I want to invite the country into a conversation into difficult decisions. But you see, he moved to difficult decisions without the explainer. So guys are wondering, why difficult decisions without the explainer? Can we get what's happening? Of course, people are perceiving that, Uhuru, but what's happening? And there's that perception of, all of you access the cookie jar, right? So the first thing that you ought to have done, and me, I love this, because it is politics, throw them under the bus. Say, we have a challenge. I want to extend amnesty to the people of the money, because truly Kenyans, the reality is, if you go the legal way, getting this guy is going to be difficult. And it will take us a long time. So I want to extend amnesty publicly to anybody within the next 60 days who knows that they took Kenyan money and did not put it in the right coffers. To have a conversation with Kenyans. Okay, what are you doing? You're absolving yourself of the financial blame that is going to bedevil you. And then 60 days is enough. After 60 days, just accost them. Look, there's this king of is it the prince? Is it the crown prince of Saudi Arabia? Immediately he was announced as the crown prince. What did he do? He rounded up all those people who are corrupt in the regime and took them to a lavish hotel. Lavish hotel. It's called Riyadh or something. Lavish hotel. And told them, you know what? You're only leaving this hotel after you refund the money. If you don't refund the money, you're going to stay. I'm going to pay all the bills, but you're going to stay. There's no freedom for you. Those guys signed back the money to the public coffers. So this amnesty I'm talking about is not something foolish. It has been done in some country
and
before.
Then you see,
it could be done here.
I've been silent because I am a once disappointed supporter of William Ruto. My disagreement with this regime comes from a point of support for it in the 2022 cycle. But what Odhiambo is saying is true. If they wanted to manage this from, and we've always agreed that largely at the beginning of the term of William Ruto, the biggest problem was that they could not communicate for what they are doing at all. In fact, their problems were only seen as highlights. Because that formula that Odhiambo is talking about has been done before. And it was done perfectly enough for people to forget that that person doing it was coming from a regime or a party that had held power for over 30 years in that country, and that country is Tanzania.
Yeah.
When Magufuli became president, the first thing he did not even attend the what is it called, the eating session of him being president.
He reported to work.
He started working. Yes.
It was in a hospital somewhere.
Yes, he went to hospital. Then he went to the finance ministry, uncovered about 12,000 ghost workers, and he fired people within that ministry. Immediately, the people felt like something is going on. So he absolved himself from the previous CCM problems that had been accumulating. And remember, even the regime that was then in power was not supporting him. They were supporting the preferential candidate for CCM, who was the billionaire Lowassa. So unfortunately, William Ruto had the whole script in his hand, but he just decided to not follow it.
It's called a good crisis.
And I think to conclude that, I think it is a crisis of when you perceive yourself to be the smartest person in the room. Whenever you consider yourself to be the smartest person in the room, the tragedy of that is you just might be the smartest person in the room, but you never see anything outside of the tunnel vision that you have.
Well, I have two points to make. First, the moral authority, the question of the moral authority. And again, the issue of that time, I remember after Ruto took over power, his government, he didn't even rest. Remember, people were on the streets. Do you remember that time?
Yes.
Actually, continuously. He didn't rest. He didn't even have anywhere like he could tell people anything, because we started protest immediately.
Protest?
Yes.
Actually, I think
after
you sped up that timeline
Ruto had a good time.
Because
how many minutes?
Remember,
let me ask you.
I remember between time when the disadvantage and the lack of favor started happening in William Ruto's government.
3 months.
Because no. After that, you have grossly sped it up. Let me tell you.
Finance bill of 2023, 2024.
When I began having problems myself, again I've said, when you're a supporter of government like Odhiambo is a supporter of this government, in the event they get a re-election and they get their 2 terms, the first thing that people do when they get disgruntled because they cannot get to William Ruto is they look for Odhiambo. So every time they have a problem, they look at your guy. What is your guy doing?
You voted for
that was
guy.
me. Because when I started feeling like the pressure is coming towards me, because people had seen me campaign for the president and really push his agenda, was late 2023, early 2024. That is when the pressure had become a lot, because the only time that William Ruto was facing problems was the Sifuna revolution, and remember during that finance bill of 2023-2024, the only visibly opposing MP of that finance bill was Gathoni Wamushomo. She was one of the first to do so, and at that time the regime still had goodwill of the people. It only started dwindling towards the end of 2023 and early 2024. So he had a good
the post-election protest.
I wanted to say this. There's something about the moral authority.
Yeah.
Let me correct you a little bit. A little bit. The goal in life, especially in politics, is never to be moral. Morality is a veil. The goal is to remain effective. So morality is a veil that politicians use to pass through life. Okay, and even human beings are inherently evil. Inherently dark. Human beings do things which are silly.
Weird, yeah.
And imagine a human being will surprise you, because can you imagine a human being who you can talk like we're talking and you de-escalate them? Ametengenezewa nuclear bomb, ametengenezewa bullet, ametengenezewa bazooka, somebody you can talk to. That simply tells you the nature. If you look at Oppenheimer's mind when he was thinking about making a nuclear bomb, you can simply imagine what like world politics, geopolitics today is anchored around the nuclear bomb, so that the button is not pressed. So now, if you look at that and you come to the moral question, I've realized in my later years, initially I was also a moral campaigner, that we need to be moral. We need morality in governance. Politics needs to be moral. My sister, there's no morality in politics.
Absolutely.
In politics, the goal is to remain effective. That's why the people will not look at, you're the most disciplined, you're the most what, so that they elect you. They look at who's the most effective. There's this guy called Waluke, who has been convicted. A convict has been elected back to parliament. And we can't...
With all those,
in fact, not just cases or allegations.
Yes.
A conviction. The fellow is out and is serving in parliament. And now look at the parliament itself. And I've always called it's a parliament of owls. Because you look at those people in parliament and you wonder, do these people understand the pain of a common Kenyan?
Odhiambo,
yeah.
We always go for the politicians. I feel the politician represents the very fabric of a Kenyan.
Yeah.
Kenyans are very fast to castigate politicians. But if a Kenyan is found in a mistake, the first instinct is to bribe themselves out of that situation. Or if police are being recruited, the first instinct of how can I get an unfair advantage so that I'm the one who gets. So Kenyans are inherently selfish. And this is also demonstrated. If Kenyans really wanted this country to change, Matiang'i would be leading in the polls of this country.
You think so? Why?
He's moral.
He's a fraud.
Absolutely not. Moral how?
Huduma number.
Let me tell you.
It's a fraud.
Let me tell you.
Just a minute.
Maraga.
Maraga.
Yes.
Oh, Maraga is good. Maraga is good. Maraga is good. No, Matiang'i is good.
Problems. So, as a person who voted for William Ruto, I can see the very same red flags there.
In Matiang'i, right?
Kenyans really wanted change and Kenyans really meant well for themselves. Maraga would be running with this thing. But what is happening? Maraga is somebody that if you entrusted them, they cannot even steal a single shilling from you.
But you see,
we have.
You see, sorry to interject. You see, Kenyans have this penchant for abusive relationships.
Yes,
even the personal relationships are very abusive. They have this, and you've heard the saying. I don't know. It's even in Tanzania. I think it's East African problem or black, where they say, "Yule ambaye unampenda hakupendi,
anapenda mwingine ambaye anapenda mwingine
asiyempendaga." So Kenyans are just like that. They know, the fantasy girl that I need is Maraga. This is the woman.
That is wife material.
That's wife material.
Yes.
But no, she doesn't give me the kick. I need one.
It's not exciting.
Yeah, I want something.
Kenyans would like.
And exciting for them is headache.
I'm throwing a jab at you. You're throwing it back.
Yeah, you're challenging.
Bring it down. Drama. You once killed.
Let me give you an example. You see, if you compare jurisdictions, for example, in America, you will find that people who build profiles, they build their profiles in national service, and then when they intend to run for any position, they start by saying, I serve this country in AXYZ capacity. You find that even military personnel are highly rewarded in politics. I did 2 tours in Iraq, so I am a man of fidelity and integrity. So you see that the electorate rewards some sort of moral code. Even when you see that people rise to the position of governor in US, you will find that they were mostly, some of them, a good number of them were district attorneys. They convicted X amount of people, they reduced crime in that state. So you'll find that there's a moral code. But in Kenya, there is nothing like that. There is no reward for a moral code. But that is why you find somebody like Waiguru, straight after the NYS scandal, gets elected governor. You look at certain people like Okoth Obado. The moment that case came out, you saw the galvanization around the kind of the kind of support that he got when he was undergoing that case. And now, years later, he has been convicted. But that tells you that every time that we have a leader who is faced with an issue of public account, the first thing they go home is they tell the people how watu wanani persecute, and they want immediately to go support their thief.
On this one, I'll agree with you, because you see, what is the normal reaction of Kenyans when a leader from their region is being held accountable? If you come from Mount Kenya, they'll say Modo Anyoba. If you come from the lake, they say Odo Ado.
Don't even go far. The other day when the governors were being grilled, you remember?
Literally. But you see, they'll say, even William Ruto, when Uhuru was saying and other people are saying, but this guy has been stealing public money when he was Minister for Agriculture, Minister for Education, the High Education Board or something. But they said, no, this is our thief. This is who we want. And true to themselves, they got what they want. 2 years down the line. Oh no, Ruto must go. He's the worst president we've ever had. But now, look at again how they are reacting, in whom they want to choose again. Where are they going? Ethnicity. So again, they are going to vote out of anger, and then they'll land themselves in the same hole. Regarding Gachagua must go, or Sifuna, whoever the case might be. So they don't stop to evaluate and be like, okay, this is where we are, this is what we need. In terms of what we need, who's the most appropriate person to be here? So if you are complaining about abduction, and you want to elect Fred Matiang'i, for instance, and he has had some shadowy past with some issues of
abductions
and killings, but then you say, okay, he might be bad, but he's our son. I was actually studied in Rift Valley, in Kapsabit. Those people will tell you, okay, we hear you, he's bad, he's never done anything for, but he's our child. Now what do? We must support him. And that is, you see, the voter that you have, and the voter that you face,
the Kenyan mind,
or the Kenyan mind. So it is the reality. Unfortunately, we have a propensity and an affinity for thieves and also toxic politicians. Even Matiang'i, before he left, I think there's a day he said, if you are not careful, most of the members of parliament coming in are going to be drug dealers, wash, criminals.
I remember that time.
Now, look at what we have in parliament today. What he said. Have Kenyans learned? I don't think so.
Odhiambo, have Kenyans really learned a thing?
Kenyans cannot learn, and you can't blame them because let's look at the understanding of Africans, because there's a dichotomy which I've always liked, analysis that I've always liked to give. It was written by a scholar called Peter Eke, and it talks about the colonialism and the two publics in Africa. Okay, and it talks about the private realm, which is divided into two publics. One is the primordial public, and then we have the civic public. Now, the primordial public is grounded in indigenous community structures, ethnic associations, kinships, networks, and traditional ties. The primordial public, okay, focuses on morals and the duty bound, where there is some level of morality that you have to sustain for you to exist in a community. If you don't have those morals, you are actually excommunicated, okay? And you find things such as stealing were not allowed. The only thing that they would allow are things such as going to raid another community. It was a cultural thing, and so it was accepted. But morality was very high in the primordial public. Of course, there's loyalty in the primordial public. But then Peter Eke tells us about the civic public, which is number one, amoral and instrumental. Okay, and this civic public comes from the colonial regime. And yesterday I was telling you here together with your friend, and you guys were laughing when I was talking about Kenyatta being a product of the civic public. Okay. Colonialism gave us a very wrong apparatus, which is that country is being kwa kijana unasema penye yako. I don't know how you steal, you loot from the public, because colonialists, when they came to Kenya and Africa largely, they found us the code. We had chiefs who were guiding us. We had our own religion, and Professor Mbithi tells us clearly the African traditional religion and how it used to work. Luos were worshipping Samubongo Nyakalaga. Kikuyus were worshipping Mwenenyaga. Yeah, and I don't know, Kambas were worshipping what? You had your thing. Mulungu somewhere, there's a Nyasai somewhere amongst the Luyas, etc. Now, Peter Eke tells us that the civic public was a product of colonialism, because these guys came from wherever they came from. They came to a land which they don't know, and then they apportioned it to themselves. That's the highest form of immorality. Just going to somebody's land without courtesy, saying, this is my place, pushing the people who are there, or enslaving them and putting them on some ship, and then they die in the ocean somewhere. Then even the transition to what we call state apparatus, it is simply a way of denying other communities progress and giving yourself and your people some level of meat. If Africa was left in its own path of development, where they were having the kings, the chiefs, etc., perhaps we'll be having a different case. The reason that's why today we are struggling with tribalism, etc., in terms of the public, the state, is because the foundation was wrong. And I always say, things don't go wrong. They do start wrong. And Peter Eke tells us clearly that as much as we want to analyze, we need balance in public service, etc., the foundation was wrong. Look at England, for example. I want you to look at the European world.
Yes.
And the Arab world. Then look at us in terms of this civic duty or civic work. If you look at the democracy, quote unquote, in European world, do they have kings who serve from birth to death? They do.
Some have.
In fact, most of them serve from birth to death. Then they've given a hybrid, they've given a donated democracy, okay, to the people on the government, but not on the state. Come to Africa. When a president serves from the time he gets to power to death, it's a very big question. It's wrong. But did we have chiefs and kings who would serve from birth to death
and actually pass over there,
and actually pass over
to their
next?
Yes.
And if you look at Buganda Kingdom, which is the classic example of how Africans were organized properly, that the colonialists came to disturb us. The Buganda Kingdom had Katikiro, who was, I think, a chief justice somewhere. There was a prime minister somewhere. There was a Numulamuzi somewhere. There was a prime minister somewhere. There were advisors somewhere. And then there was the king. The king could not be changed. A Kabaka will just transition to the next Kabaka and etc. But the prime minister will do what? Would shift. Okay. Now, when they came in, they distorted this thinking, and that's why we are still where we are, struggling with the question of morality. Whereas in their own land today, and I say it confidently, Britain is struggling with one thing. The United Kingdom generally is struggling with one thing. In the middle of London, it is not owned by who? By the Britons or the British.
Yeah.
It is now owned by the Muslims who are coming from the Arab world. Further, the Russian oligarchs own a huge part of what? Of London. And it is not a very big question for them per se. But here, when we have a little thing of Matiang'i wanting to serve as the president.
You see, Odhiambo, yesterday, we talked about the referendum and I see where you are heading to.
Yes.
I see where you want to take us to.
Cameroon has a president who is serving for 40 years.
I think
the
problem that we are facing here
is good.
If you let Odhiambo set the narrative for you, you'll find yourself in a place and you're like, how did I get here? You'll be like, no, I didn't want to be here, but you are there.
Yes.
So let's get something clear. Of course, we have to appreciate that the systems of governance that we have, we got them from somewhere else. But be it as it may, they are the ones we have. Vile tunasema kwa streets, ni mimi ndio niko.
Hii ndio iko tu.
Ni mimi tu. Sasa unipende ni mimi niko. So can Kenyans or can African countries run a government on a system that did not originate from Africans? I believe they can.
We can.
You can look at Ghana. They are trying in terms of how they are doing their politics right now. But also, you see, also something that Odhiambo is trying to make is as if removing a sitting president is impossible.
No, I didn't say that. It is possible. We've removed one before.
And I don't agree with that in the sense that, you see, in 2002, you have to consider that Raila Odinga did support Kibaki, not because he didn't believe he had a chance of winning. You know, sometimes the public can force your hand. And that is why we started this conversation by saying, the problem right now is not about you joining government. It's about, will you go with those votes
yes.
when you want to join government? Probably not. So when you have a situation whereby Kenyans are saying, yes, we've had presidents before. We've had presidents serve more than 10 years. But Yako, you have overworked so much. The work you would have done in 10 years, you've done in 4 years. Asante. You know, even as a child, you work hard so that your parent can retire so on. Like, thank you so much. Now we'll take it here from here. And that is why I think most Kenyans resonate with Edwin Sifuna. The thing that differentiates Sifuna from Maraga is that Sifuna is principled in the sense that he's been saying the same thing before his party leader died, before everything. The same way he's been saying up to date. But the only differentiating factor is, in terms of politics, he's an animal. Because William Ruto, I can assure you, as much as people want to write him off, he has not started campaigning. And woe unto them when he starts actually campaigning. We know what William Ruto is. He's done politics his entire life. That is what he knows. Politics is William Ruto. William Ruto is politics.
It's politics.
You understand? So when you face such a person, you can't afford to be lazy. And the only person who's not allowed to be boxed is Sifuna. Remember William Ruto was saying, unajua jamaa anatuambia tusijenge nyumba kwa sababu kuko itapanda, hiyo ni akili gani? Sifuna responds and says, unajua, and he normally likes calling the people in the united opposition that they don't have akili or an agenda, and they keep quiet, they don't respond. You know, Sifuna told him, kwa watu wana akili ni wewe. And you can see, na PhD yako ya matawi, Mluya hawezi kaa kwenye kuku yake hawezi fika. And he died on that hill. The truth is not what the truth is. The truth is what you repeat severally that people believe. Sifuna knows this, and he's the only person who can push back successfully, and Rigathi, who can push back on William Ruto. Let's be honest. In terms of politics, it's about, can you consolidate votes? Can you convince people? The manner in which you do it, somebody can dislike you, but as long as it's effective for you, it works. You see, somebody like Rigathi understood the assignment that I can have Kenyans hate me, But if I can come with 6-8 million votes, you can't ignore me. So for him, he's focusing on Kenya because he knows at the end of the day, even if I sit back, you must come and look for me. Because why? 50+1. Hizo kura lazima zijae. So for him, the method he has for him to get support in his region, he has to play the politics he's playing. But Sifuna now enjoys a somewhat status of what Raila Odinga used to have. That he doesn't, Raila didn't come from a huge political landscape that has a lot of numbers in terms of Luos, but he enjoyed support from Luya, Kisii, Coast, and also northeastern Kenya. Why? He represented something larger than himself. For Rigathi Gachagua in the mountain, it is Rigathi Gachagua from morning to evening. For Sifuna, it's like, okay, what can Kenyans relate to? Kenyans can relate to their kids being abducted. Like, okay, that is something we can relate to. We can also relate to that this SHA thing is not working. SHA is not something to register votes for. It is a system to provide me with medical care. If you come on national television, you tell me that we have a lot of people registered, so what? So what? It is not working. What else can people relate to? This issue of affordable housing. William Ruto says that we have this system so that we can eliminate slums. How many slums has William Ruto eliminated? How many slums are in Western?
He's reducing
or
Kibra.
Mount Kenya?
He's reducing the slum Kibra.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you pay taxes in this country, you have taxes, right? That is the revenue. Then you have a specific fund called housing levy. To do what? To build public houses. Now, if I come again for that house, why should I pay? That house was constructed using public resources by people who are not even occupying those houses. Then how do you go again and sell that house to me? It's like uko na bibi yako kwa nyumba, akombe pesa yangu umpatie 1,000. Then you go behind her back, you steal the 1,000 back. Then she comes to you, she says, oh, I've lost it. And then you say, na hii ndio ya mwisho niko nayo. So nikikupatia lazima unirudishie. That is what basically government is doing. And then you have to ask yourself, do really Kenyans want those houses when the cost of electricity is as high as it is when we are a net import of electricity? I don't think so. And as Odembo said, the issue of morality. Right now, what this government has successfully done is absolve Uhuru Kenyatta of the responsibility of odious death in this country. In fact, Kenyans see William Ruto, they see there are problems. All of them, whether or not he's the one who caused those problems. The moment they see him, I don't even watch news. Because anytime I see, I might get a headache or collapse with anger. Because I have pain, you're coming to me, mpende mspende, Kenya lazima ibadilike. No, you don't talk to people like that. A failure of communication, as Odembo put it. So, you really have to ask.
You know one thing I love the gentleman. I love about the gentleman is the way he's a study in contrasts of himself. So on one side, the president ajanza campaign. These are village salad. He will eat them very early in the morning. That's a fact. I'm happy he knows that. But again, in the same breath, says, you know what? We hate the president. Of course, there's a section of this country that hates the president. It's undeniable. The Gen Zs, by and large, don't love the president. It's a fact. Do they turn up to vote? Did they turn up to vote in 2022? If they did, well and good. If they didn't, we know the figures.
They will in 2027.
Fine. Let's see how that turns out. Number two, he says, you know what? We have a problem with the president. It's guaranteed. Even me, I have a question with some of the policies of the president. And one of them I've said repeatedly on this podcast and other media stations. I strongly believe that the function of or the policy on affordable housing should change. It should be used to control the price of rent in this country. Somehow, I don't know if you read newspapers every day. Yesterday it was on Daily Nation or Business Daily that the cost of rent in Nairobi has fallen by over 14%, which is beautiful. Can they attribute it to this affordable housing? Yes, it was there. Just Google. So you have a tablet in front of you.
But I think it's because of many factors.
It's because of many factors. And I'm saying, for me, the policy around this affordable housing should have been social housing. For what reason? That every person is entitled to a proper housing, dignified housing. The previous regimes have never done this thing. Is it a fact? Yes. Is President Ruto doing some housing? Yes. Is the policy wrong? Of course we disagree. But is it a fact that is going on? Can we appreciate it? Yes. If you're refusing to appreciate that there's affordable housing going on, or there's housing, let's say housing going on, even if it is bullshit housing, but it's housing going on, genuine people recognize. We always say star sees star, okay? But if he says housing for who, unanibia pesa yangu nini, these are problems we can work on, okay? It's undeniable that there are problems, but we can work on them. Let us not behave like our own lives are so pure and we are so straight and we are so successful. No, come on, man.
Tricia,
yes,
there's a problem.
I've listened to both these gentlemen speak, but there are many things have been said, and I don't want to respond to them specifically because they are points of perspective. But with regards to one particular thing that Odhiambo brought up about a referendum, I like to study patterns. And patterns almost always give you a direction or an outcome that you can predict. You see, this government, since they came in, their main terms of diplomacy and inter-party diplomacy has always been with a certain kind of party. And now that we are talking about the referendum question, we are now coming out. Now we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. This is what they intended to do. When the president gave his special nation address, allow me to go. Allow me to build a picture.
Finish. Yes.
When the president made his special nation address, I remember thinking to myself, he sounds like a man who is looking for a new political narrative to ride on that will favor him in a win-win situation, that if it fails, he's going to say that the opposition is anti-development. If it works, it's going to go to credit to him. But also within that question of national conversation, there will be voices talking about a referendum. And I want to be very insistent on it. Those voices will be planted to start saying what Odhiambo is telling you. See, Odhiambo will tell you in a very craftily covered up way. He will tell you that there needs to be stability across a long period of time, where the vision bearer carries the vision for a long period of time. And if you listen to the president, that's exactly what he was saying. He was talking about a long-term vision. And let me tell you why that strikes me. You see, in 2023 and 2024, look at the associations of the UDA party and where they have sent their own delegates to go and benchmark from. One of the main benchmarks they have done, and I know this because some of my friends went to those trips,
is?
It was the Communist Party of China, the ruling party of China. And I remember during that time looking at what they were doing, because they sent a delegation of about 9 people. And one of them was the UDA Secretary General. And one of the things they allegedly said was that they are going to learn on how to strengthen party structures and governance from the Chinese government. Now, if you look at the system of governance of the Chinese government, there is an overall head who is the president in Xi Jinping. And there is, in terms of how he looks at the vision of the country, there is, I think they call it Xi Jinpingism or something like that, that guides the country's direction. If you look at how they want to interpret that and what Ruto is doing right now, it is almost a carbon copy of what they want. Another place that they have gone to, which is almost ludicrous to think about, is Uganda. They have had several back and forth inter-party delegations between UDA and NRM, again to strengthen party structures and governance. And then now we have a president who is talking about a long-term vision that culminates into a development agenda that will carry the country past 2030, which he was clearly avoiding to call it Vision 2016 because of the current politics of the day. But my worry is, William Ruto is looking for a referendum question in the upcoming future. And that referendum question will include not only changing the term limits, but extension and complete removal of a presidential limit where he can rule for as long as he can run. And if you listen to Odhiambo's narrative from when he started speaking, and he talked about Cameroon, Cameroon has had a president for 40 years. That is the kind of vision that William Ruto sees, because he has realized that, granted, you may give an argument, and he likes to take the best of that world and compare it to the worst of ours. Say that Kenya is the worst example, but some place like Singapore is the best, because they will consistently quote Lee Kuan Yew. But then you look at the fabric of how they are based. Lee Kuan Yew was very anti-corruption. Lee Kuan Yew was a straight shooter. But right now, William Ruto is operating on a serious trust deficit. That even when he brings a national development agenda, because any responsible citizen, including myself, understands that a country having a direction or a developmental agenda is good for the country. But because he sits on a trust deficit, anything he does will always seem like William Ruto seeks to gain. And people cannot see past the veil of William Ruto. And that is what worries me most about the current political situation we are headed into. Because I don't know how, and maybe Odhiambo can try and craft one of his very beautiful spin master narratives and tell us how exactly is he going to fit this referendum question in a short space of 1 year. Because the way I see it is that now he has gotten a different narrative that he can carry to the people outside of one-term and two-term politics. Remember, hold on, one-term and two-term has always been something out of his control. In fact, even two-term politics have been a response to the one-term clarion call. So it never really hits home as much as he would want it to be. But now with a developmental agenda, that is something he can carry and say that I am looking to have a conversation with all stakeholders within the nation so that we have a development agenda for the future. But then that will invite people to now, you will see people like Odhiambo now be invited into committees that will go into around the country, crafting opinions, and some people within those town halls will start saying, you know, maybe we should think about removing the term limits of presidents.
I think
so. Jeff, maybe yes. Before you come in, I don't know whether you are aware of the judgment, the ruling yesterday around the election date. Because that's how we ended up in the issue of a referendum. A possible.
Let me tell you. In fact, my opinion on the referendum came before this ruling.
Okay.
It came before because I could see the political optics in William Ruto's speech. Because when you start from the associations with other parties, then you come with how they have operated the country and which examples they like to take. For example, Singapore and the kind of development track record they want to achieve with Singapore. And Singapore collapsed in a record 1 month, right? And now they are talking about a long-term agenda. And I'm telling you, outside of the High Court ruling, because that High Court ruling is an independent thing that comes from the judiciary, I could still see the political machinations of a referendum question outside of that date.
But from where I see it, the issue of referendum has not arisen recently. I can remember as far as even before we had the issue of 2024, Senator Fernandi Cherargei has been really pushing for extension of term limits.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
But you see, the biggest campaigner for opposing this constitution was William Ruto. In fact, every day that he sleeps and wakes up, if there is one big task he has, is this constitution that we have. Because he didn't believe in it, he doesn't believe in it today. You can see with the number of things that how many times do people go to court? Something has been enacted unconstitutional. Something has been enacted unconstitutional.
So according to you, what do you think are the key areas that Ruto would want a referendum on in that constitution?
For him, it's term limit because he imagines a situation whereby he wants to rule like Moi, but he doesn't have that constitution. So in as much as and as far as possible, if he can, mitigate on the constitution that we have, he will. And there's this issue that has arisen on talks. I noted earlier that William Ruto is somebody that will give you a politically bouncing check. If you can remember, after 2023 protest of Sufuria, there were talks, NADCO talks, and there was an entire report. And I can assure you, nothing was done. And after 2024, there was another document between ODM and government that people should stop being abducted, compensation of victims, and so on and so forth. If you could look at the list of those things, if he could have just done those things the way they agreed to do, perhaps maybe the narrative will be a bit different. But I don't know from where Odhiambo sits.
I want to understand.
I want to understand when we have a president who was served for 4 years already, there's promises he made before he came into office, nothing has been done. And we understand certain issues were there, yes, but you see, we didn't tell you to go for that job. You've had several talks with several recommendations, you've done nothing. Now you want to come to me and you want to sell me you're a sitting president. Instead of telling me what you've done, you want to sell me Vision 2060. When I do the math, in Vision 2060, you might be in heaven, you know? So I'm like, so you want to go to heaven, you leave me with Vision 2060, and I'll be the one who's bearing the blunt. Why? There's an issue of debt, and I really have an issue with this debt thing, because nobody is talking about it, and it's a problem. And it's not even a William Ruto problem alone. Anybody seeking the top office must confront the debt problem. Now, if the guy really meant well for this country, he would tell you for a fact, there is no money for development, let alone development. Even keeping the lights for government, there isn't. Even for him to fly out of this country, there's no money, none. So then what the question becomes, because this country is ours, all of us, what can we do as Kenyans? Not even as government, opposition, no. This is our Kenyans. Country. When you succeed as president, also us as Kenyans, we succeed. So because you might take your kids to another country, I have this country alone. So the success of this country is at the interest of myself. So what can we do? There's one which is being proposed of where we have odious debt that we don't pay. Of course, it's legal, but the probability of that working is a problem. Then what is the other alternative? And perhaps this is the only positive thing I'll say about this administration. You see, when you have a debt to GDP ratio of about 71%, there are only two ways to get yourself out of this situation. One, declare the odious debt and don't pay. Two, encourage foreign direct investments. Now, I can give you a very good example.
Please go ahead.
The government was able to succeeded in convincing Dangote to put in Kenya a 2 trillion refinery. So what is going to happen when you have that refinery starting up? One, there are people who are going to construct. Those are jobs. Two, they're going to buy materials for construction. Businesses get money, government gets revenue, and so on and so forth. But that 2 trillion investment, that is money not in the Kenyan economy. So by investing 2 trillion, our GDP automatically increases. But why has government failed to have these successes in these 4 years, as many as possible? Well, number one, the cost of energy. And I'll stick on that one. In my view, the money being used for housing should have been invested, or the money even for Talanta. Put that money in energy so that it is very cheap for you to have energy. Because if I have a business and the cost of doing business, the energy cost in Kenya is 5 times more than Ethiopia, and I'm driven by profit, I'll put my business in Ethiopia because I'm not a Kenyan. I'm purposely driven by
You are just
profit.
an investor, yes.
And lastly is sometimes you want to put a business in this country as a foreign investor. Hata ujaanza ushaitishwa. Ya wazee. If you can remember, there's an incident China Square had when they began. Politicians were making a lot of noise, Moses Kuria, and then it ended all of a sudden because they got their cut. So those are some of the challenges that we face. But I hope anybody running for the top seat, they know that economic issue is not going to go, whether you shout 1 term, 2 term, but you have to have real solutions for it. Yeah.
Othiambo, it's your turn now to respond.
Yes. Listen, I think I like the young man. He has a good sense of what the country is about.
Yes.
And he has a good appreciation of what the president has done. Of course, it's good to be a sensible debater, not like Jeff sometimes.
Not.
Of course, on a light note, Jeff is a very good debater as well. Now, there's something which we must agree on. That this country does not belong to President Ruto. Neither does it belong to Gachagua. Neither does it belong to Kisis. It belongs to all of us.
True.
And the conversation around the future of this country belongs to all of us. Are there legitimate questions, especially with the question of referendum? Let me begin from there. There is a legitimate question. And if people are saying something, I want to go back to my class 5 English book. There was a problem of the hornbill. I don't know if you remember. And the other animals in the forest said, hornbill's problem is hornbill's problem. It's not our problem. And what happened at the end? The whole forest got burnt down. And every animal said, how I wish we could have listened to the hornbill.
Yes.
Have we had hornbills before?
Sure.
Talking about we need to relook the constitution and review particular things. Let's listen to these hornbills. A hornbill started shouting and saying, this term question, this representation question, Raila's and Uhuru's BBI talked about something that I hold dear in my heart. The National Rapporteur's question. How do we handle this question of public participation? There is so much about this constitution that needs a review. And then we are saying, let's not look further than President Ruto. Usiangalie mbali na Ruto, angalia mpaka hapo. I want to point you to when we were doing something back then, especially in the formation of this constitution. Very sober people advised Raila Odinga, please ensure we have the leader of opposition well taken care of. They dismissed it. Those fellows who ran to Naivasha and discarded the original draft said no, we go absolute. Some people are saying let's go parliamentary. Because what if we are not in power? And that's what I want to urge Kenyans. As much as we are looking at the referendum question, let's look beyond who? President William Ruto. Yeah. Ruto is transient. He will go. And Ruto cannot serve forever. First of all, I want to put a disclaimer here. We are all Kenyans. We know ourselves. Huyu Ruto hazituchezea atataka kuserve more than 2 terms. It cannot happen. Ni 2 terms too. Hawezi enda beyond 2 terms.
I like that.
Okay? Hawezi enda beyond 2 terms.
That's the problem with the
I like that.
Beyond 2 terms.
Yes. The government job.
Hawezi enda beyond
that reason.
Because he cannot. It's the law. He can't go beyond 2 terms.
You see,
if that has to happen, Kenyans must sit. The constitution, which in its first article says, all power belong to the people. Sovereignty is with the people. Anybody who serves at the pleasure of the people. In fact, the constitution even goes ahead to say, we can even recall you. The constitution gives power to parliament to impeach a president, to impeach a deputy president, to impeach anything that they want to impeach. It's there. So, president cannot, let's look at beyond Ruto, because yesterday we said, look, the courts are saying something. The hornbills are talking, okay? The first hornbill said, oh, term limit. We said, we nyamaza we hornbill. Hornbill ikanyamaza, sindio? The court now is saying, wewe, hii kitu ya election iko problem. Because on Tuesday we should have an election. But not having an election. Then it has said in good time. And me like looking at the positive side. In good time. They know what, let's suspend this thing until 2027. So that we have that general election 2027. And I'm saying, I was not sent. I don't talk to these people in government. I don't talk to them.
Allegedly.
I don't talk to them. My phone is here. I can give you. I have 2 phones. So that you check the call log.
You don't have to.
Check the call log. It is here.
Odhiambo is being melodramatic.
No, check the call log. If you find anybody who comes from the state, you tell me, tell the people. Here. Check, please. Even from 20 years ago or 5 years. Or 5
we don't know how you saved them.
There's nobody who comes from. Let me finish.
Yes.
This is what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
You'll never find, Jeff, this phone is for you. To scroll. And
do it for us.
And Jeff, you're doing it.
You know, the only thing, if I find anything, I cannot show it to the government.
Yes.
So, there's nobody from the government who sent me and said, go and talk about the referendum. As I was coming here yesterday, I thought to myself deeply. Because when we come to political headache, we don't just come to give the headache. We analyze the headache and give the word, the analgesic. That is the Panadol of this headache. And I thought, as a ranking member of political headache, my role is to also go and suggest what are the possible solutions. And I came and said, you know what? To cure this nonsense beyond 2027 is to have it in law that a president serves from what date to what date. Because Article 142 and Article 136 are sitting in contravention of each other. Okay? And we have to give a cure to this. And the wakil is here. He knows this fact. And the only way to give a cure, it cannot be through a presidential decree. The court cannot pronounce itself on a date of election. It cannot. It's disallowed. It's there in the law. The only thing is that we are in disagreement as Kenyans on the counting. Simple arithmetic. What is an election in the 5th year? That's what we are disturbing ourselves about. Now, in versus after, they sound like prepositions in English. So then, let's go back to the people. And the Constitution gives a solution. For you to talk about the term of the president, referendum. It's not me, it's the Constitution. Now, what is so difficult?
As of yesterday, the question was, what will be the question? What will be
the question will be, should a president serve 5 years beginning from the day of election until after the 5th year? For example, should an election be held after the 5th year of a presidential term. Simple. Yes, no, people vote. Okay. Well, in 30 days, IBC is told now. This thing is
being very smart.
smart. It's the law, bro.
It's the law. Assuming that we are going to enter into a referendum question with very like an equitable conversation.
We must enter
clean hands. I don't disagree with Odhiambo to the fact that there are some review questions that need to be had about the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution has gotten to a point where there have been court pronouncements that have challenged some elements of the Constitution. So granted that is the position, we are still talking about the political context of it, and Odhiambo is craftily running away from it, because I do agree there is an interpretation question about when the election should be held, but I still insist, right? If this, like he said, things don't go wrong, they start wrong. If it is starting from a footing of where people are suspicious of your intent to bring a referendum question, then there will be a problem eventually.
But Ruto has not talked about referendum.
But I am telling you,
it's not talked about it. In fact, yesterday I said that DCP has the beautiful chance. DCP, not any other party. DCP, which is the Acosta-in-Chief of the president, to initiate because there are two ways to a referendum: parliamentary or public, popular initiative. There is no presidential initiative. When President Uhuru tried to sneak it, BBI, the court told him, stop right there. You're not going anywhere with that. Do you think Ruto is stupid to initiate a referendum for himself?
Actually, yes. But you see,
it will fail. He knows it.
You see, that's what I'm saying. Odhiambo is assuming that everything will fall, or the chips will fall according to how he thinks.
Yes. Now, why don't you initiate the referendum?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Why don't you initiate it? I'm not going to initiate it. I've solved myself. I can't.
Allow him to. Yes.
I've said that during this national conversation that we are intended to have, there will be voices that will propose such a referendum change.
It wrong?
It is not wrong.
Thank you.
But I am saying those voices will come from a planted perspective from the
government.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait,
because
No, just hold on. Let me ask you. We can't allow this to run away. Let me ask you. Why is it the imagination of Wakili Jeff that it is the president that has to plant a voice to initiate a referendum? He's a brainy man. He's an advocate.
And
why can't he
initiate? So that's his opinion,
yeah? Just allow me to land.
Why can't you initiate?
My point here is, Odhiambo has raised one referendum question.
Yes.
I have said the problem will come where there will be several questions. The reason why I keep pinning back to the president is because whenever there is a national conversation that has hands of the government in it, it is always the president's interest to do so. For example, you've mentioned BBI correctly. What was the interest of BBI and Uhuru's interest?
To solve issues in this country.
The court goes and says that the president cannot be the initiator of a popular initiative. It is the same question right now. And you're asking if Ruto is a fool to walk down the same path.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying the political machination behind it is he is inviting people for a national conversation and then he will let it go.
But he's not invited. Invited.
Eventually,
he has not.
Going. When they launch,
why are you thinking on behalf of Ruto?
No. Okay, let's the same person.
No, yes. Allow him to finish. Odhiambo.
I am having a preemptive thought of what is going to transpire in the political space. I am not asking about the legal question because the legal question will have to be addressed.
Thank you.
Okay.
So let me ask you, Jeff.
You will get your chance.
Yes.
I'm saying.
Okay.
Whenever there is a fundamental question on legality, because the law is there to solve problems of people or to serve the people, the law changes according to the needs of the people. I'm not disagreeing with that. I am talking about the political mischief that he is hiding behind his legal question, because he is telling us that it will be as simple as when should what time frame should the president serve. That is one question.
That is just one
and
question.
Let me tell you
yes.
one of the biggest problems of BBI that we opposed that time. BBI had some very brilliant suggestions. However, they made the whole referendum into a yes or no question. It was not a multi-question referendum because there was the argument from the side of government that Kenyans are too simplistic to differentiate these issues. Let them have a yes or no question. Because now, if it goes that direction that Odhiambo is saying, there will be a legal question, there will be a political question, and it will fall under the choice of Kenyans to either say yes or no. Throw away possible good proposals under the guise of we want deny Ruto a political end. But at this point in time, my problem is this. If a referendum is to come, and it will come eventually, that is the nature of the law. Let it be, one, a multi-question referendum. Two, let it be devoid of political mischief. For example, he has said that William Ruto cannot go 2 terms. Who told you that will not be a question in that proposed referendum? It will be.
But Kenyans have a chance to vote yes or no if it is a question.
You see now, that's
the beautiful bit.
Hold on, let me finish so that Osiemo is
in fact, if Ruto tries to sneak it, I want to say here confidently so that it is settled. I, as a supporter of the president, President Ruto, the day you try to sneak a question on extending your term limit, that's the day we disconnect.
Just look at the
Talk
camera.
to him. I've gotten Odhiambo. This is what in law is called a cross-examination.
Yes.
You cross-examine to the point that you get your desired
you get. So that's what you wanted. So let me ask you. Let me ask you, Jeff. Before Nani comes in, Odhiambo.
I can't support the president past 2 terms. Anataka 2 terms peke yake.
Okay, Odhiambo. Jeff, before you come in, the question is, what now happens to us as a country now that we are in this situation that we are in? This issue of the election, because I see we will vote in 2027 and then the election will be
nullified.
Yes.
I mean, let me tell you.
Why will it be nullified?
She's referring to the element of the fact that the High Court now.
No.
Hold on. The fact that right now the High Court has said that the election should have happened at a particular time frame, that is clearly and logistically not going to happen.
Yes.
So that presents a problem that if we conduct an election, we cannot again rely on mutual judgment of agreement. Somebody might come and say the election results of this whole exercise are null and void because the court has pronounced itself on such and such a matter.
Yes.
Now that question is also a wait and see type situation, because our country exists in a very legal political framework. It is never purely legal and is never purely political, because the politics of the day influence what comes out legally. Because now the High Court made a very clear ruling, right? However, logistically, we cannot have an election next week. It's not going to happen.
Yes.
It is not going to happen. One, because even the IBC, its constitution, has been delayed for a long time. There is also the question of boundary delimitation. That is also another thing that is going. There are many legal questions that are sitting, waiting, and again, we'd have to keep probing that matter and see where the legal direction is going to fall, or where the legal pin is going to fall under, because it presents a problem that might actually come to bite Kenyans in a future time.
Well, my brothers have very heatedly argued on this issue of referendum. Perhaps, I noticed what you did in terms of you saying, but let him serve 2 terms. And I saw that. So, either way, as to whether he'll serve 2 terms, remains to be seen.
Remains with the people.
So, the issue of referendum. So, I'm a legal scholar myself. So, let me just, with being a political, let me just explain how that works. So, the Constitution is what Kenyans gave themselves as the supreme law. There's no court in Kenya that can challenge the legality of that law. The way it is, that is the law. It is not what you think should happen or what you think. It is the way it is. So if it says in the 5th year, it is not you to tell us what in the way it is.
The interpretation now.
That is the interpretation. I've had many arguments being made about future problems. You see?
No, before you move on, 2026 or 2027, according to the interpretation, your interpretation.
So, the court clearly said that the election should be next week.
Yes.
But it went further and saying, of course, consider, because the court cannot give you a remedy that is not going to be workable.
Okay.
It can't just give you a remedy just because it's a remedy. It has to be something actionable. So the court noted that because it's next week and you are supposed to have national elections, it is not possible. So it said, noting that yes, it's not possible, the elections can be held at a later date.
Okay.
But legally speaking, election should have been next week too. That is not challengeable. And anybody who's going to challenge that, they have the right to do so. Go to the Court of Appeal. If you are not satisfied, go to the Supreme Court. The government itself, the Office of the Attorney General, what's participating in that matter? So if they are not pleased with the matter, they will appeal.
Allow me to probe
wait,
you. Just
let me ask you. No.
Let me ask you a question.
Just let him.
No, wait.
As you finish, I want you to. It's just a question I'm adding to. Don't you think it poses a danger where the court pronounces itself and tells you this is the problem that we've identified? However, we cannot solve your problem because of logistical challenges. Doesn't that make the constitution or open the constitution up to a situation where it is merely suggestive and not authoritative?
But you see, you are a lawyer, Sendio. What in interpreting the constitution, you were told that you do it holistically. And not only that do you do it holistically, a court of law cannot give you a remedy that you cannot, is not actionable. So there is no danger that this matter can arise again. Why do I say this? The legal system in Kenya is such that if you are displeased, you will appeal all the way to the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court will announce on itself on the matter, if it says is in the 5th year of every election cycle, that is the law. It is not an issue of the United States of America has had their constitution, small as it is, since independence. This issue of you want to change the law when it fits you, when it does not benefit you want to change it, when it benefits you, it's okay. We are not going to do that. There's a reason as to why we have a doctrine of separation of powers. That judiciary interprets the law, parliament enact the law, and executive give us policies. Insofar as I'm concerned, the executive does not have any interest in suggesting any law. But for parliament, if there are these issues, they can amend through, there's a way you can amend. But for the purposes of having the constitution the way it is, if anybody has an issue with the way that ruling is, it's okay, you can have an issue with it. Go to court, appeal. If, again, the outcome is not pleasing to you, you go to the Supreme Court. After that, we'll have certainty, because there's no law you can ever form that is complete, none. And that's why we also have legislations, that this is the law from the constitution, this is the legislation, to give further explanation. So for instance, if there's any legislation on the same, they should have clarified that. So from where I see it, both parliament and the judiciary have a responsibility in giving Kenyans clarity as to when should we have presidential elections. Yeah,
I think he's come to what I was trying to direct him towards, because you see, this is not a strange situation in my opinion, because at some point in time, the judiciary told the president, Parliament is not properly constituted.
Dissolve it.
And then you should, therefore, and the constitution is very clear, shall advise the president to dissolve Parliament. That's what the Chief Justice then did. So the reason why I was asking Osiemo that question is not, I wasn't trying to interject his thought process. I was just merely trying to point him to a situation where we usually have a very legal political system of operations, because the two-thirds gender rule is one that was meant to create equity in representation. So the fact that it is not properly effected is a fundamental flaw of how that governance system works. So the fact that that even question today remains unresolved should tell you that even this situation of timelines is an open legal conundrum that is going, at some point it will become an issue.
Okay, Jeff, before you get in, if we are being honest and sincerely speaking, if we are a country that you follow the law, if the law says that you dissolve,
you ought to dissolve,
and you've been given an order by the court to dissolve, in any mature democracy, what would have happened?
It ought to be dissolved.
It ought to be dissolved. So what is the problem we're facing? We have people in leadership that they believe once you are elected in office, you have the monopoly of knowledge. You know it all, from where I sit. That therefore, if the judiciary tells you, hey, you ought to dissolve here, from where I sit, I feel like government should have dissolved. But you see, the executive acts in a manner.
Just remind me, I may be foolish on this. Is it Ruto who was advised to dissolve the government?
No,
parliament?
it was Uhuru Kenyatta.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have a situation whereby the executive acts in a manner to suggest that they are above the other arms of government. But in reality is that there's no arm of government that is supreme than the other. They all work together to serve Kenyans, and the power that they exercise is donated to them by Kenyans.
My only argument with that, so that Odhiambo can make his point, is we as a lawyer, we risk a lot when we leave matters of grave importance to political interpretation.
Correct.
And we mix that up with the law. Because Brian makes very sensible argument. However, it still does not underscore the practicality of the problem I'm talking about. Because if we merely treat the Constitution as a suggestion, because, and I'll be candid with you, Ayua, I've been involved in a constitutional process. My alma mater of African Nazarene University, the law school of the African Nazarene Law School, I was the chairperson of the Constitutional Committee. And when I went to seek advice on how you go about that kind of process, I went to my lecturer, Professor Hamala, and he told me, Wesley, the first thing you should always do when you're in any position to affect policy or legality is you write the law as if you're writing to protect your enemy.
Correct.
Because you may be foolhardy to think that you will always be within status quo. That is why I agree with Odhiambo. You might push for an extension of term limits and then fall out of power. What happens? Then now you have your opponent sitting there for
forever.
An unchecked time. So I was advised, always write the law or affect the law in a way that protects your enemy, because tomorrow you will be the enemy. And so when I look at what is going on now in these questions that don't really have legal answers and are left to political interpretation, and then there's a recommendation that Parliament should do more, it always brings a problem, and it is a problem that I think personally that should be speedily resolved as opposed to be left to the political events of the day.
The biggest question that we have in this country, this bickering back and forth about referendum, etc., is neither here nor there, because ultimately, when we are faced with the national quagmire, where we don't seem to agree, then the Bible suggests to us, and I believe we are using a derivative from the Bible, that let the vote then decide for you. And that's why we have a prescribed system that in case we don't agree in terms of our opinions, let's subject it to a referendum. There's no harm in a referendum being done, because the law was made for man and not man made for law. Okay? Now that underscored, let's look at the other question which I had my brother talk about before we come to the topic of the day, which is Sifuna.
Actually, we are behind time.
Masterplan. In the next, I think in the next 2 minutes we need to shift there.
Yes.
The biggest question in this country today is not about development. It is about constitutionality and human rights. Okay?
Yeah.
Which, if you ask me, we are anchoring strongly in the events of some of the zealous elements within the regime and others who are acting out of the regime. I would say, for example, from 2024, which is, these are valid points which Kenyans are raising. You should not abduct. You should not torture. You should not, and we can even appreciate, if we are fair enough, we can even appreciate the DCI, whatever did the other day. Instead of covering up for useless policemen in the force who are trying to take down the regime's name, expose them, jail them. Mukwana, or whoever he was, who killed Albert Ojwang, or who oversaw the killing of Albert Ojwang, is facing the law, and the rest. And that is a very good step. If the regime was covering for the murderers of Albert Ojwang, if it was covering, and I always say, the biggest stain in Ruto's regime is the 2024 Gen Z demonstrations. And we can't talk enough about it. That was evil, it was dark, it should never happen again, it should be cast. But after that, it's only a fool who does not learn. Has Ruto learned his lessons? Of course, he has learned them. Since then, yeah, of course, he's learned them. He's learned them.
Okay.
You can even hear, in regard his own admission the other day, he said, Sierra that group of policemen who are formed to do some special operations have been pushed out of Nairobi.
To where?
Get out of this place. Okay?
That's a good question.
Is it an official policy of the government to have that Sierra useless team? It's not. But even in the recognition of this thing being there, for the first time I heard of it, by the way, they've been told, please go away. Don't do this nonsense anywhere around here. Okay? And what I'm saying is this, in short, that we have wrong elements within a regime who will always be out to rock the regime. There are elements who will try to steal in the name of the president. Wayua. There are elements who will even go and con people in your name. Right now on my WhatsApp, I have had 2 cases of people trying to con me in the name of my friends.
Yeah, that happens, yeah.
It happens in Kenya. So do we have elements who will try to take bribes in the name of the president? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do we have elements who will try to kill in the name that they're protecting the president? Yes. Do we have elements who kill on behalf of politicians? Yes. So it is not operating in a unique point that it's quite out of the place. The president is the one killing these people. And I've said before, the political responsibility of the Gen Z deaths rests squarely with the president.
Yes.
Has he done anything to at least send an apology or even indicate remorse? Yes. Is there a compensation team that is working on at least this issue of compensation without us struggling with the courts and etc. and taking forever before people are compensated? Yes. It's regrettable, Kenyans. We are sorry. It happened. If it is the reason why you will chase us to go home, so be it. But tumeomba msamaha. Ilikuwa mbaya.
I think we need to
But Odhiambo has just apologized on behalf of government.
Yes.
Because the government actually never apologized, which is it's a simple apology actually, but be it
to
as
say
it
that
may,
we are sorry.
Imagine, just
we
go
are
and
sorry.
say we are sorry.
It has
it's not
happened.
that difficult.
I usually look at the government like Odhiambo.
Let me tell you.
No, I usually look at this. Yes.
That was so uncalled.
It was uncalled.
Odhiambo, I usually look at
We are
this government when it comes to the Gen Z 2024 killings. I usually look at them like as this one husband who doesn't want to accept that they are wrong.
Yeah.
But on the sides, they are trying to do things that will show that they are remorseful. So I think that's
like
what the government
apologizing.
Yeah, but they don't want to apologize.
You
Yes.
must always be
Because
cautious of apologizing. Sometimes can be read as admission. I feel like that's why they are reluctant.
Refusing to take the political liability.
So
but
now,
we are sorry.
Sifuna is currently in Kakamega, Busia, and of course he's planning a rally in Homa Bay. And the question is this just a grassroots mobilization, or it is just it is a calculated plan to capture Raila's stronghold?
Raila's stronghold is a very bipolar stronghold. Especially, let me begin from where Sifuna is today. One thing I must appreciate about Sifuna is doing a splendid job. That is what politics need to be. In fact, I've said before, if it's not Ruto, let it be Sifuna, not this guy's man.
Not Gachagua.
Not Gachagua. And not Matiang'i. Those ones are rotten.
And not Kalonzo.
Not Kalonzo. Kalonzo
Yes.
has never done anything for himself, except keeping very big dogs and talking about
You and Jagero have a problem with his dogs.
But how can a man just keep dogs and be a sure? Anyway. So what Sifuna is doing is a commendable thing. Me, I love the politics that we are in now, where nobody is being tear gassed. That is a good step for our democracy. It's beautiful. And Sifuna moving with Babu Owino, raiding. Now it is no longer Raila's strongholds. Now it is the fragmented strongholds of different people. When he goes to Luyaland, Kakamega, he's not raiding Raila's stronghold. What does Raila have to do with it?
I'm talking about to go to Homa Bay.
Yes, it's not Raila's stronghold. It is a parent has died, and benefits are coming in, and one of the children is in disagreement with the ones who are looking overzealous within the house. And say, you know what, tumwachia hiyo nyumba yenyu, naenda kujenga yetu. Na wamejenga yao, na sawa nazungua, wanakuja kuvisit, nasema habari unaendeleaje, uko sawa? And that's all they're doing. There's nothing wrong about it. And it's nice politics that in Homa Bay they're welcome. I come from Homa Bay, and we welcome them on the 16th, is it?
Yeah.
Yes, next.
And I've always told my little brothers and sisters,
yes,
in the vernacular radio stations, I've told them, you know what? We must allow Babu Owino, James Orengo, to be in the camp of Linda Mwananchi. It is compulsory mathematics, unless you're an idiot. Because before 2022, before Ruto was declared as president, the only Luo who we had in Ruto's camp was a one colorless Omolo, who was never known beyond Lake Basin Mall in Kisumu. And another loud Eliud Owalo, who was having no political significance. But look what happened. That when it came the time of Luos negotiating with the regime, who were the appointment within? It was Omolo, the nondescript. It was Owalo, the renegade of Raila's politics are the ones who anchored them into the government. There's a saying in amongst the Luo that in the polygamous setting of the Luo families, they say that children who come from one house, one woman's house, must never cross the river using the same boat. You must de-risk the process.
Okay.
Because if they go with one boat, there's also a popular saying, I think it's in English, that the boat capsizes. No, it's in Luo again. The boat capsizes just when it's about to dock. It happens across the world. And in the wisdom of the Luo wise men, they say, you know what? Children of one house go with different boats, so that in case one capsizes, the other one reaches, so that at least there's continuity. So I want to urge the community, without fear, that Jaluo must calculate. We must have Odhiambo and his type remain around the president, okay, to support the president. But let's also have a few messengers. Also go to Linda Mwananchi. In the instance, and I'm only saying, once somebody declares they're going for presidency, they have a chance. The only thing is for the people now to turn up and either show them yes or no. So if Linda Mwananchi gets to power, or when they get to power, and I see Sifuna someday getting to power, maybe not now, and I encourage him to continue, because somewhere in the future there's a Sifuna in this country. That is for a fact. Somewhere in the future there's a Babu somewhere. Let them continue. Let us welcome them. Let us listen to them. They're not going to take our money. They're not going to touch our land. They're going to talk. Let them talk. After they're done, what a talker. Nothing shall have happened. And it's beautiful. And these ones who are afraid, who are jittery, wanajikuna-kuna, they're showing a lot of uneasiness and insecurity around these guys. If you're doing the right thing, don't be jittery about these guys. Like Ruto has left them just to do their thing, because why should you compete against Sifuna? Let Sifuna compete you. He's the one who wants the power. You're already there. Relax. Okay? So hawa watu wadogo nasikia sijui Homa Bay kuna juzi mtu amepigwa sababu ya watu. Babu does not want governor of Homa Bay. Yes. Orengo does not want governor of Homa Bay. Sifuna does not want governor of Homa Bay. This guy just talking to the people. Let them talk and then they go away. Kakamega, nothing happened there. Okay. They went there, did their rally peacefully. They went away. It's beautiful.
Let me tell you, I like where Odhiambo is headed, because now he has understood how the mountain plays its politics. Because there's a story that goes, there were two brothers who were brought up in a pre-war situation, where they watched their uncles, their brothers, their senior brothers, their fathers all die because of war. So they decided one day, the only way we're going to make it to old age is that me and you will never fight on the same side. So that when we go our separate ways and we fight for the different warring camps, when the war is settled, one side must reign winner. And when your king asks you, what can I do for you for your brilliant service? You will say, my lord, I want nothing. The only thing I want is I have a very stupid brother. He always makes the wrong choice. The only thing I ask from you, my lord, is to spare his life. And that way they survived until old age. What I think about Sifuna and raiding Raila Odinga's strongholds is that I think it was the natural thing to do. And I think it is about time. Because I remember in the beginning stages of Linda Mwananchi, I used to ask the Linda Mwananchi faction a question. I used to ask them, if Sifuna's problems with ODM are solved, will you follow him back to ODM? And the Linda Mwananchi people I used to speak with, they used to get very jittery with that question. But eventually that question was supposed to lead to the answer that Sifuna and his perceived greatness that he enjoys now will eventually have to challenge for some of those traditional stronghold of what is considered Raila's base. And now you're looking at the response, because again, you measure political weight not only in the crowds you pull, but also in the resistance you face. When you start seeing the local fights appear around Sifuna, you start to realize then he is rocking even the local politics down there, because people might cheat you and might tell you, and Odhiambo can tell you he comes from that area. The traditional radical nature of the ODM support base has waned completely. If you compare a supporter of Raila Odinga pre-2022 or 2017, which I experienced support of Raila Odinga then, and you compare it now, when Raila Odinga is not there, the ODM has fractured, the ODM party has fractured, you can see that the resolve of a person who has been in ODM for a long time has waned. And they're starting to think that we can find a different alternative path. And you see the local people fight it so much because these are the people now who are going to be casualties of that. Because you look at the Gladys Wanga of this world, you look at the people who have continuously enjoyed support from being affiliated to Baba are now having to talk for themselves. And that is presenting a serious problem within them. And I think...
But Gladys Wanga has welcomed Babu Owino.
After a long time of challenging and trying to rock the boat from
I mean, it's
the undertones.
It's sibling rivalry. in friendly fire.
You see,
so
Madam Nyasuna is a very vicious politician, and you would know
she's
this.
Not. She's a good one.
She's a good person, but she effective, and you know, effective in politics could also be vicious. Before, these people were not allowed to go there, and the challenges they were facing. In fact, I remember during the rally that they were supposed to go to Kisumu, the threats were very serious. Some of my friends in Linda Wananchi opted not to go because of what they were being told. And we used to tell them that this is how exactly things happen, even when you're competing against your own brothers. Because I've been in a situation where we are coalition partners, but somebody has told me, do not come to this area, we will cut off your head. And it seems like it's a joke, but you now have to weigh your options. So the way I look at Sifuna and where he's going, I sat here one day and I said Sifuna was dressed for a ball and was invited to a ball but dressed like a villager. Now Sifuna is understanding the game and he's making the considerable steps. Because if you see even the resistance at the national level that they cannot get a name registered properly, that should tell you that the impact that they have on the other side is also quite great. So he's not only facing challenges from the government side, he's also facing challenges from the traditional Raila support base, because if they slip up...
But the government has given him an easy way. The government is not fighting Sifuna
actually,
and
that's
it's not fighting what?
Let me tell you, it is the interest of the government. Let me tell you.
Somebody is saying that it's like you've accepted that it is the government that was fighting them.
It is the interest
of course, I've said it, the elements within the government who are wrong.
It is in the interest of the government not to do so, because you see, politics works in a reverse psychology kind of way. If they fight Sifuna right now, he gets bigger than he already is.
So
they don't fight him, but you can still see the resistance that he is facing from both sides.
The overzealous characters.
Yes, the overzealous characters, whether it is from the systemic challenges he's facing or it is in the local politics that he's going to face. But I think Sifuna right now where he rests has every recipe to go above that and conquer those small challenges that he is facing.
Okay, as we prepare to wind up,
Okay, from where I sit personally, even before this entire Sifuna situation arose, I remember I've had quite an admiration for Sifuna for the longest, for the reasons that there are very few times in politics you will see somebody stand up and say something outwardly and die on that hill. They are very countable times. So that's one. Number two is that as a young person who's very energetic, is somebody that can sell you poison and you can buy the poison, not necessarily because poison is good, but because he's very good at convincing somebody toward a particular end. And that is what William Ruto had in 2022. And he's had it for the longest period of his political career. I always say that woe unto you if you start listening to William Ruto. It's like listening to Odhiambo. You might find yourself in a situation that you didn't intend to find yourself inside. And that is something that...
do you mean William Ruto and myself are very convincing?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I like
You're
that.
in the same WhatsApp group.
Sifuna also such a trait that he can convince you toward a particular end, and that is good for a leader who wants the top seat. So let's look at, for instance, what are some of the things that make Sifuna larger than life. So we have the broad-based signing, and remember afterwards he did get some backlash, like you said you wouldn't support William Ruto, but here you were there, you witnessed, in fact you were a witness for the signing. And I remember there's a time he's hosted on TV and he says, you see, for him he was saying, I cannot support William Ruto, not insofar as ODM is concerned, but insofar as my vote as Edwin Watenya Sifuna is concerned, I cannot support William Ruto. I will not vote for him. And that is okay. Everybody has the right to vote for anybody that they want. And you saw how the other leaders in ODM were interpreting that. And enters the scenario in Western whereby even Raila Amolo Odinga had to be like, kama uko na yako ya kusema, pia we sema. So this situation of Sifuna once Raila untimely passing was only made worse by the overzealous characters, as Odhiambo puts it, of government. That you see, Kenyans have a tendency of feeling sorry for somebody. And when they look at you and they feel like you're being, hounded, and you've not done anything wrong, you've just spoken your piece, and they are constantly after you. You're being removed from certain committees. You're told you can't go here, you can't do this. You're removed from Secretary General. That made definitely the situation worse. And so therefore, he was faced with the situation of, do I stay in a place whereby I'm not wanted and I'm forced to at a particular point, or there's an opening here. But of course, the problem is, if you go too fast, you might be left an island. But if you stay back, you will not amount to anything. And for the longest, him and Babu, I felt like they just had to get out of ODM. You have to chart your path. Even Raila Odinga himself had to come out of his father's party and chart a path of his own. So from where I sit, I would urge any Kenyan to support, any Kenyan of right mind to support Sifuna. Why? One, he was not involved in the issue of odious debt, one of the biggest problems this country is facing.
Yes.
So when Sifuna, for instance, says that we must go back to the constitution, what does he mean? You see, these characters, once they were elected in 2014, there's an act of parliament we have called the Public Finance Management Act. They went there, the constitution said all money that the government receives, both revenue and what you borrow, either internally or externally, must go to the consolidated fund. They amended that provision through an act of parliament to permit the treasury that it can be deposited even in a bank account outside the country. So that's how money meant for the public began to be stolen. So do you expect Fred Matiang'i to go after his own boss for public debt that may or may not have stolen? I don't think so. But for somebody who has a clean slate, he was not in parliament at that time, and he's somebody who believes in what he says. Do I think that he can go after Uhuru Kenyatta? I highly doubt. But does he have other options to do other things in terms of the economic end? Definitely he does. And I think from where I see it, the biggest challenge I see for Sifuna is he needs to sit down, because he said he's going to sit down with his team and they discuss the economic aspects of, okay, this is where we are, this is our country, then what are we going to do forward? I feel like that's the only thing remaining. But insofar as Odhiambo puts it, politics is concerned, politics is fun again in this country. Nobody used to make politics as fun as Raila Amolo Odinga. And we want to see where anybody, any candidate can go to any place and they can have their rally to speak to people. Whether people come or not is another issue entirely. But go, say your piece and leave. And it was very unfortunate what happened when Linda Mwananchi was planning to go to Olkalau. And of course, we saw what happened. They were told to keep off. Those were local matters. But I hope in the future that changes, because at the end of the day, Rigathi Gachagua said that where they are agreeing is that presidential, we have to sit down. But any other seat, anybody can go anywhere and speak to anybody. So from where I sit, Kalonzo is not doing enough. If you ask Kalonzo, you've been in public service since the Moi era, what can we see tangibly you've done for the public? Nothing comes to my mind, not even one. I know people will argue he's never stolen allegedly public money. That's okay, but what have you done to further the well-being of Kenyans? I don't see anything. As far as Rigathi Gachagua is concerned, from where I sit, I don't know where they got themselves with William Ruto, but from a value proposition point of view, he has 6 to 8 million votes, and those votes are against William Ruto. So, as far as I'm concerned, wacha wakosane tu kabisa. So, and also, you see, another thing that I don't understand people castigating Rigathi is he was impeached. You see, if I steal from Odhiambo today and I go to court, I'm either jailed or fined. That is the end of that story. So if the remedy for whatever sins he might have committed was him being impeached, then he's paid for his sins. Anybody can make a mistake, but whether or not you learn from your mistake is another issue. So I hope he has had his Damascus moment. I hope so. For Fred,
we need to receive some calls.
For Fred, I come from that region. The people there really support him, but he's not doing enough. He's not doing enough. But for Sifuna, I can actually support a Sifuna candidacy from my seat. Yeah.
Hello. 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 Yeah, you can keep calling. We will receive some few calls as we wind up the show. So you also wanted to respond something.
I like what he's saying, that people make mistakes.
Yes.
And we will continue saying, especially at this moment, that makosa kuna mali zimefanyika hapa na pale. Tusameheane na tusonge mbele kama wananchi.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. As we wind up the show.
Who is this, please?
This is Sylvester. I would like to contribute to the show.
Well, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Nairobi.
Yes, you need to reduce the volume of your gadget. That is the gadget that you are watching us from.
Yes, I have. Is that better?
Yes, now you can go ahead.
Yes, so I just want to point two things to today.
Yes.
The first one is that I find Odhiambo today to be disingenuous. He is not only a Luopin, but also a communication expert. So when the law says that election will be done in the 5th year, it should not trouble him. The comprehension of those semantics should not trouble him. In the 5th year is different from after 5 years.
Sure.
That is one. The second issue is...
Just a minute. I am not in disagreement that in the 5th year means we need to do elections next week on Tuesday. I said it yesterday. I'm in agreement. I know how to calculate. In the 5th year means next week on Tuesday. What I'm saying is there's a disagreement in the country. For me, I'm like, the election should be done next week on Tuesday so that we defeat Rigathi Gachagua and Nani and Matia and all these people. But you see, they're saying that referendums, they're bringing out of question. And me, I'm saying, let's go and sort this question because we are not agreeing on semantics, right? So let us, simple English, let us go to a referendum and agree then. Is that a wrong thing to say?
Yes, Odhiambo. I think it's a wrong thing because...
Why?
There will be several things we will disagree with in the Constitution.
Yes.
But that Constitution was already passed. It is the supreme law. Whatever it says, whether we dislike it, will remain until that Constitution is repealed.
How do you move from here? Tell me, how do you move from here?
So for me, what I was thinking, and I thought it was judicial overreach for the judge to find that the election date is Tuesday and then postpone it for a year. It is like saying something is wrong, but I'm allowing you a year to continue perpetuating the wrong thing.
So let me ask you, because that is exactly where I'm coming from. That look, the courts are saying there is a problem with this election thing. We have miscalculated, and whichever way, if we do a mistake again next year, of going to an election without a prescribed exact date and term of a president, the next president or the current president can simply decide and say, you know what, my 5th year is after 5 years, or in the 5th year is after 4.5 years, like Uhuru did. So why can't we sort it in a referendum and say, you know what, serve for 5 years, then at the end of your 5th year, let's have election in December.
But the Constitution moved the election from December.
And that's what I'm saying. A referendum will help us sort that question.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me not hog the line, but as I said, Constitution is the supreme law. Where it provides express positions, we should stick to them, whether we like them or not. And then we only ascribe to a different set if it is changed, repealed.
I have
But before it is repealed, it's a supreme law. But have a lovely day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yes, madam.
Who is this, please, and where are you calling us from?
Mr. Philip Ochieng.
Yes.
Yes, I'm happy with your program.
Asante.
Yes, my concern and my worry is that Kenya, there's a lot of tribalism in Kenya. My proposal was that I really support Odhiambo. Let's support Sifuna.
Okay.
Yes, Sifuna seems to be the most general, somebody who has not been tainted with any corruption allegations and anything. If you come to Akinamaraga or something, these people have been working in the government. So I have a feeling, let's get the wholesale. If Central can come together with the Luos and the other communities, then we support Sifuna.
Okay.
This is the only general person who can remove Ruto. Otherwise, the rest, this is just gambling.
Okay.
Very good, very good.
Thank you.
It's gambling and interest.
Oh,
that's one opinion. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You do realize after all he said, he started with Central. So
Lakini umesikia chenye amesema?
Nimesikia kitu amesema.
Amesemaje? Hebu repeat.
Amesema we come together.
I love lawyers. Lawyers are good people. They hear this and they say this.
It's an alternative truth.
Yeah, alternative truth.
That you support Sifuna.
Arising from the same set of facts.
Okay, let's listen to Rono here. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling us from, Rono?
I'm calling live from Eldoret.
From Eldoret.
Yes. Very interesting conversation we have here. And I just want to address what the argument that has been made by OCM. That any Kenyan of right mind should support Edwin Sifuna. That statement deserves to be challenged because first, political sanity is not measured by whether you support Sifuna.
Okay.
It is measured by whether you are capable of interrogating the people asking for your vote. That is number one. Number two, let us talk about Sifuna himself. I have no problem with Edwin Sifuna seeking the presidency. Every Kenyan who meets the constitutional office. But if Sifuna wants Kenyans to trust him with the presidency, then Kenyans are equally entitled to scrutinize the political ecosystem around him. Because yes, you might say Sifuna is clean, but when you look at the people beside him, James Orengo comes with decades of political baggage. Richard Onyonka, he himself, when he was the MP, has serious political and legal controversies. Babu Owino, Nidai Seymour, we already know him. Saying that association makes Sifuna guilty of another person's conduct. But if Sifuna is to form government, then these are the people who will also be in the same government. So that is why I feel like by Osiemo saying that any Kenyan of right mind is obligated to support him, then that is a very intellectually wrong discourse that is happening at this moment. I want to hear what Osiemo has to say about that.
Okay. Yeah, Osiemo.
Yes.
Okay. So the issue as to who you associate yourself with during an election. So in this country, for you to become president, you have to have 50 plus 1. 50 plus 1 majorly means that you must have garnered major support, not only from where you come from, but also from other regions in this country. As I said in this political podcast, is that you might hate Gachagua for all you want, but as far as I'm concerned, he has 8 million votes, 6 to 8 million votes. So if you want to form a government, you don't have an option but to work with Rigathi Gachagua. And you have to negotiate now that if you're going to form government, what it is my government, my rules. And that is why you see, even when Ruto got into power, when they had a disagreement, he said, hey, it's my government. And you can, that's the door.
Yeah.
So government forming process is a painful process. Sometimes it's better and as I said, I hope he has had his Damascus moment. We can't criticize this guy for the entirety of his life. He's
no, he has not. He's not.
That is your opinion.
He's about to land.
Just allow him to finish.
He's not land.
Yes, please land. Yes.
That
you want this ticket?
He's majorly responsible for putting us in this government, in this situation we are as Kenyans, where we are saying this guy needs to leave, and he's equally saying that he'll play the biggest role and he'll work so hard, and he's doing that. And my only concern with the other principles of the united opposition is they're not putting equal work as him. But as far as Sifuna is concerned, he's doing and putting in the work.
Okay. Hello.
Hey, hello. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Kiambu.
Ni nani, please?
Naitwa David Nyota.
Karibu.
I just want to ask Jajero, not Jajero, Odiambo. Odiambo, is there a way that we can solve this thing of this presidential election? Can we just try to fix it within 90 days?
No, we cannot. We cannot hold an election within 90 days. It's impossible. We just have to wait for 2027, then we do a referendum against alongside the election.
But you remember during the COVID time, the 36 calendar, hata kutumbia party story ya 2027 bwana. Tunateseka hii town.
Ile ya shule.
Yeah.
And you know unajua shule si ni
COVID was work.
Kwa ni hatari bro. Kwa ni live wire. So to support huyu jamaa aende amalize 2032 alafu tusote maneno kabisa.
Tuwezi bana, tuwezi. Now another thing, and another thing, this thing of Kalonzo just sitting down in boardrooms and waiting to be handed power. No man should just get out and go and look for votes. Ache mchezo hii ya kukaa hapo wakipanga na Uhuru. We are not going to in that direction again.
Unaona huyo nani? Unaona huyo Kalonzo? Ni mtu mzuri sana. Mungwana, lakini ubaya, it doesn't work hard. He has achieved everything he wanted to be. He has become the deputy president, he has become the ward, he has become the minister, he has become the MP. Amekula kila kitu sasa, hana ambition. Wachana naye akae.
Wewe jamaa tumechoka kumchangia bana. Sasa imagine right now we are competing with him kuchangiana pesa sasa.
Nakwenda kabisa.
Tukimpea pesa anaenda kukula nyama na acha mchezo. Okay, it is fine. I was just asking whether we can try to fix that. We can try to fix the 3 months into that. Tufanya tamat.
Ni swali. Hapo Kiambu unaona nani huyo governor wako anaenda UDA ama namna gani?
Nani these Wamatangi.
Wamatangi. What is the happening there?
Yeah, huko people Wamatangi. Watu wa Wamatangi huko. He has done amefanya kazi poa huko ni watu wanasema yeye tu
ni kama wanga
okay Adhiambo
yes
Adhiambo
yes
that is a problem. As in unajua saa nani this man is being fight all over, anapigwa na gava, anapigwa huko na nani na this wa Mnyoro guy. So kuna possibility anaweza ataingia timu Sifuna
au hata independent anaweza ingia nayo
ya hiyo anafanya kazi.
I like him. Wamatangi ni mtu mzuri sana, nampenda hata mimi.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
I have interest in Kiambu.
Huyu Jeff apendi Wamatangi sababu ana Shagwa.
Okay, let's pick other calls, eh?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Hello. Yes, who is this, please?
I'm Martin.
Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Mariakani.
Mariakani kule Pwani.
Kule Pwani. Kwa mimi si Mpwani, mimi ni bara lakini naishi huko. Okay, I like your program so much.
Asante.
Haya, naongea na Mr. Odiambo.
Hey, Jambo.
I like the way he articulates his argument.
Asante.
The problem is that he is on the wrong side of the shoe. tukiongelea kwanza pale umeongelea kwanza, siku hizi kwa session nyingi wanasema kutetea Ruto ni ngumu.
Mimi kwangu ni rahisi, ni kama kukunywa chai.
Wakati umeongea about the affordable housing, I think 101% that project is a failure.
Failure, but imemalizika bro.
Because we the civil servants, we are contributing the money to build those houses, and there is no one to account for what has been contributed and how it has been used. Secondly, I found the other housing which are being built in Isiolo town. They are built in the forest. In other places, like the one you had Sifuna saying that we the Ruyas, we live within chicken. Now, how do a Muruya go to an affordable house with the chicken on the 11th floor?
Unajua kuna vitu zingine nakubaliana na wewe, like one, I do agree with you absolutely that there is need to change the policy around raising the finance for affordable housing. Okay? That I agree with you, because it is not clear to the people how I pay some levy somewhere, I'm told I should be able to get this house, then I don't get it. On that question of housing, I have a problem with it, and I've said it before, not the first time. And I've always said I'm not an apologetic defender of the president. I am a reasoned defender of the president. I defend him on reason. Where is wrong, I'll tell him. Where is right, I'll say. So on this one, I've always said affordable housing should not be sold, because how do you sell houses that are built on public land? Okay, it should be meant for social. It should be a social program and not a capital-ended program. Number two, hata kama tunataka kupiga hii kitu jamani, tupige, lakini pia tukubali kuna mali imefanya. Kama kuna mali imejengeka, lakini chenye unasema pia ni ukweli. There is no way.
The main aim was to decongest our slums. Can you tell me one slum which has been decongested?
No, I don't think if it was decongest our slums, it was meant to provide housing to the common
quality,
man, which is fine. The only thing that I'm agreeing with you. For example, in Nyeri, why should you build an affordable housing in Nyeri? Peana hiyo kitu kama loan, watu waende wajenge boma zao in their homestays. Unaona, na hiyo bado affordable housing.
You agree affordable housing was not a priority?
Of course, it was not a priority, but it is a good thing. It is being done. Kenyans nyinyi ndio mnapenda visible things. Kama Ruto angesema tuweke pesa kwa mfuko ya kila mtu, you could have big money, then you oppose him with that big money. Wacha jenge hizo manyumba muone. Barabara.
The other thing we have talked about, Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
The other thing you have talked about, which I disagree with you,
yes,
it's about the Gen Zs which were killed during the demonstrations, and they want to show that the government has in one way or the other trying to cure that by arresting the police officers who killed the lady the other day, and that one is not related to whatever was done during the demonstrations.
I didn't quite get that.
This is a different issue.
I didn't quite get that.
Okay, we can't hear you well. From there, I think we need to call it a day. But he's talking about how the government has responded to. I mean, the case you talked about the police who was accused of shooting. Yeah, I think that's what he is challenging.
The government
is
is
saying
doing
that.
Well. Sasa hiyo DCI wafanye kazi mzuri. I mean, it's good in communication. I like what it does. If something is black, call it black. If something is white, call it white.
Same thing and see completely different things.
Because you know what I'm saying, he's doing a good thing. You know what I'm saying, he's doing a good thing. These shootings, even how do you call it, in America, we have these crimes happening everywhere. So we are not a saint country. We always have wrong elements, shooting people in the streets, and some conniving to kill people. The most important thing is, are we factual with how we communicate? And that is good, because the DCI didn't say, oh, hakuna police yako involved. The reality said, there's a police involved, here is the evidence, here is how this thing was organized. Beautiful communication. But that's what communication is about. Admit where there's a wrong. Are you saying it is wrong to admit?
No.
But it was not a political instigated thing. It was just common crime.
Can we please wind up?
It was not a political instigated crime.
Odhiambo, we need to wind up.
No, not yet.
Anasema time imeisha.
We have time.
It's almost 10:30.
These guys just want to
It's almost 10:30. So
my point is, I like the fact that when we sit down to have these discussions, not once have I mentioned my party leader.
Yes.
But my party leader has come up almost 6.
You don't like him. Your subconscious knows you don't like him.
Let me tell you.
You're more intelligent than Gachagua. Then you keep on following him like a duck.
Let me tell you what
you come
Odhiambo
to
is trying to
UDA.
Let me tell you what Odhiambo is trying to do. Anytime you listen to Odhiambo with his spin master narratives, because he's very good at it, and for the untrained eye, you are likely to be swayed by what Odhiambo says. But the reason why I don't mention him is a testament to the role that DCP will play in the coming elections. As he has said, you cannot overwrite or overlook the influence that DCP has.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter where you sit. And I've always maintained on this podcast that come what may, you are either going to plan the 2022 elections with Rigathi Gachagua,
yes, or
plan against him in the 2022 elections.
You know the beauty is that
about the deal. The beauty is the narrative that another narrative he wants to spin.
You know the beauty is that everybody in this country desires change. DCP wants change. President Ruto wants change.
But he's in
Sifuna wants change.
Why
can't we sit around the table?
Give us your final remark. We are going to leave both of them here.
Let me just close from where
yeah, please do.
Mine is just to remind Kenyans that you see, ukawa ulipatiwa term zako na kazi imekushinda, just go home. We are not interested in narratives. If you are in power, don't give us stories. Let us see what you've done. And if you did anything, you don't need to tell us, I've done this, I've done that.
You can see Talanta Stadium iko, Rironi Mau Summit iko, affordable housing iko, SHA inafanya kazi. Kusi ombi pesa ya Rambe.
So thank you.
Odhiambo,
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to the people of the internet for also tuning in and watching the show. Thank you for those who commented. I'm sorry if I've not picked your calls. Kesho ni siku pia. Yeah, let's meet tomorrow again. We continue with these conversations because they are quite important. So my name is Trisha Wayua. Goodbye for now. Have a good night.
All right, people of the internet, I hope that you're enjoying this episode very much. And I just had a break to tell you about my new book. You know, everybody says that there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world and there is no one to do them except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so, because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. There are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things, build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash, that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odworjigero.co.ke.